What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another edition, and Luca's already deserted us again, of the Boys in the Big Apple podcast. Another Monday here. A lot of stuff to get down, mostly football today, but nonetheless, we don't want to keep repeating ourselves about our feeble baseball teams, but we will eventually have to get into that, maybe just a tad. A little stuff about basketball, James Harden, maybe that's something we run over, but biggest news of the day, Jets have signed running back Dalvin Cook from the Minnesota Vikings. We'll get into that. The Jets won their first preseason game. The Giants lost their first preseason. Well, actually, no, they didn't win their first preseason game. Yeah, they did. They lost the first preseason game for the Giants. I was mixing it up because of the Hall of Fame game. But a lot of stuff to get into. And I'm going to start with Angry John because Luca is obviously eating something. Angry John.
While Luca does his food review later. What's up, guys? What's up? Another Monday show. Good to be here yet again. I already see Shane in the chat. If you guys are in the chat, make sure to hammer your questions away, hammer your comments away. And guys, we're almost at 1.5K subscribers, so make sure to hit the like and subscribe button if you can. But nevertheless, as Alex pointed out, the Jets have made me happy. Dalvin Cook, and this is pretty much I don't want to say a reactionary move, but, you know, the news earlier was the Pats signing Ezekiel Elliott. That happened too today. And then, you know, a few hours later, the Jets signed their own running back, Dalvin Cook. So we'll definitely get into that. Obviously, there was preseason football, the Giants losing to the Lions on Friday, and then the Jets winning over the Carolina Panthers Saturday. It was actually more than a win. It was a beatdown. But anyway, we'll definitely get into that. And then sadly, we'll, talk about baseball.
I want to give a quick shout-outs, by the way. Shouts to Shane. But I also want to give a shout-out to Tony. For those who do not know, Tony's cousin is competing for a spot on the New York Giants roster as a running back. His name is Deshaun Corbin. And I did a roster bubble video on Deshaun Corbin. And once again, I mentioned this a couple of episodes ago. I actually got to meet Tony in person the last training camp practice that I went to, actually one of the last few practices that I went to, and we had a nice discussion. So Tony, shout outs to you, man. Shout outs to Daniel Berry Sports as well. Remember, guys, hit the like button, subscribe. Going to go through a lot of different things. Throw us your questions as well. Luca, what's going on? I'm sorry, Luca.
Oh, he's not answering now.
He's now mute. He's now mute. But Luca, go ahead.
What's up, everybody? I hope everybody hits the like button, subscribe to all the good stuff. Football is back, obviously. The Giants and Jets each played a preseason game this past weekend. Giants losing, Jets winning. And the Jets come up with the signing of Dalvin Cook. We'll get into that. I'm in favor of the move. We'll talk about it, how it affects the Jets and whatnot. We'll recap the preseason games, obviously. But, yeah, glad to be back here for the Monday show.
Yeah, so shout-outs to our guy, Coach Ed. He has a channel. If you guys
Coach?
haven't already subscribed to Coach Ed's channel, if I'm not mistaken, I might be wrong, Tony also has a channel as well in the chat, of course. So definitely subscribe to those two fellas. They do a good job on their own platforms. But we have to start with what our usual exercise is. I think the more fun one today to start with, in my personal opinion, is football. So Luca, I know you did the baseball one earlier, of course, doing it without us.
I did not do the football one.
Okay, so now we're going to do the football one first. I have that already here. So, by the way, shout outs to our member.
I lied. I did one answer of the Immaculate Grid for football. One answer. That's it.
Okay. So
he keeps screwing it up, man.
Fine.
No. It was just one answer. I did not complete it.
So, also, once again, shout outs to Brad in the chat. We got this. If I'm going to answer, did Josh Bellamy play regular season snaps for the Jets?
I wonder if Mike Pinnell also played for the Bears. I think he did. Fucking Jet
Josh
legend
Bellamy
Mike
is
Pinnell.
one of the guys. So Josh Bellamy, he did. So
Pinnell did as well.
Excellent guess.
It's just one of those guys, and we already started with 0.3%. See what else we got here. Jets, Texans. Do you think Blake Cashman would be too obvious?
Not at all. I think that's a perfect.
I think it would be kind of obvious. I'll have to wait.
You think? You think that's obvious?
Because he's currently on the roster. That's why I'm saying it.
Oh, there goes the airplane. Oh,
Well,
that's a helicopter. Excuse me.
Oh,
Alex,
wait. Got it. See, now we have a soundboard via StreamYard rather than the iPad, so it makes it a lot better and a lot more sound bitey for the fans and for us as well. But Blake Cashman is one.
I'm trying to think of me. Who was the corner they trade for in 2009?
I have no idea.
I think he was also on the Texans. I'm talking about the cornerback. His name is Alito Shepard. Let me see if he was the Texans. He was not. Shit.
I got one for the Jets Chargers, and I remember this guy kind of in the Rex Ryan era, maybe a little before. Dwight Lowry.
Ooh, Dwight Lowry. That's a good guess.
Mm-hmm. I know he played on the Chargers too. I want to see.
Okay.
.06.
Oh, yeah.
This is a question.
I forgot he played with Chargers.
Ed, excuse me. Rock, paper, scissors. Which are you choosing? Well, that's a very random but a good question. See, Rock gets beat by paper.
I'm gonna rock with the Rock.
Very corny. Very corny.
I'm going with paper.
I'll go with scissors.
Although I never understood the concept. How does paper really beat rock? I'm just saying.
Yeah, it just covers it.
Yeah, it just covers it. Like if you put a rock against an actual paper, I feel like the rock is harder.
Yeah. Apparently, the people who made that game up may not be the smartest in the world. Jetsmith Messi goes, yo, Jets fans. Another
What's
member
up?
of ours. Remember, guys, we're a couple subs away from 1.5K, and also as well, you can become a member. And the more members we get, the more fun stuff we could do exclusively. So, yeah, shouts to Jeff fans for getting Dalvin Cook. I think now, would this be obvious for Bucks Bears? Mike Glennon.
Not too obvious, in my opinion.
I'm just checking. Glennon did play as a Bear, right?
Yeah, he did.
Yes,
yeah, he did. Yeah,
there's Josh McCown too.
Which one are we going to go with?
Two quarterbacks in the list.
Because I think, did McCown start more games for their respective teams? Because I remember Glennon was drafted by the Bucks. So it's up to those two. It's really up to the
McCown played in the 2014 season for the Bucks.
Okay.
So maybe McCown's more rare.
I feel like it's more of a household name though, especially now that he's a coach.
But he was, it would be more obvious with whatever the Texans or the Eagles or one of his more recent teams, right? I wouldn't say it's too obvious for the Bucks and the Bears, in my opinion. But do as you wish.
You could also put him for Bucks Texans, can't you not?
Did he play with the Texans? Is the question.
I got one for Jets Texans, and it's funny. The reason the name might come to it's actually from Let's Talk Jets Radio, and this is one of the guys that Primetime who would always look at his stats after he left the Jets, and I know he was a Texan. Chad Hansen.
Chad Hansen. That's a good guess.
Chad Hansen.
That is definitely a good guess.
Chad Hansen, definitely.
5%.
How is it a 0.5%? I would say it's lower though, but that's my personal opinion.
Okay, so to go back on that, actually, Josh Johnson was never a Charger, and he was never a Texan, right?
I mean, he's played with a dozen teams, so
he's like the Edwin Jackson of the NFL. Josh Johnson.
No, but Jackson at least played well. Jackson actually accomplished something, that being a no-hitter.
Cincinnati, no.
That's right.
Okay, so we're out on that one. Duck everyone, Feeble's head is expanding with these answers.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
All right, so is it down to McCown or is it down to
Glennon? How about we do both, McCown and Glennon? Wait, you know what? Timeout, because McCown never actually played a game for the Texans. I think he lasted through the season, but he never actually played a game.
Okay, so which one are we going here?
So let's just do Glennon.
Yeah. Mike Glennon.
Let's do Mike Glennon. What are we at?
fuck, man? How is
What
that
is it?
31%?
31. Jesus, how is that possible?
How about Texans,
no,
Bucks? Texans, Bucks, Vernon Hargraves.
That's a good one. He was a former first round pick, right?
That's
correct.
correct.
And he ended up being a bum. 8-2 Braves. That's fucking hilarious, Jay. I'm sorry. That's hilarious. I'm sorry. I'm a Yankee fan, but this is, just a fun fact for everybody. This side used to be Yankee Stadium on my poster, but thanks to our buddy Hayes, he got me this Giants thing here. I got to cover it. Yes, thank you, Booyah, who's here in the chat. Hey guys, if you can come and hit the like button, help these guys out. We appreciate it. Yeah, I appreciate all you guys tuning in. Like, comment, subscribe. We already at 10 likes. How about that for a good show start? Let's get to 15.
You think for the Chargers Bucks that Vincent Jackson would be too obvious? Yeah.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. First team AP All Pro. Jadeveon Clowney, too obvious. Was it? By the way, shout outs also to Bill in the chat. What's going on, Bill?
What's up, man?
Buckle up, Braves scoring 30 tonight. They'll you know what? I would seriously, and I told John this last night, I would seriously laugh if they beat the shit out of us more than they did the Mets this weekend. Like the Braves literally licked their chops at least 100 zillion times with these next games. So anyway,
did you see the comments Ozzy Albies had on the Mets? By the way, he said the Braves always take pleasure in beating the Mets. No fight, Mets. Great job.
And Buyu says, "Way to go, Jets, on getting Dalvin Cook." So, all right, we got 4 more guesses. That Glennon one is bullcrap, by the way. Bucks, Chargers. You said Vincent Jackson would be not so
obvious.
Good. Let's see. Let's try to think of all pros also for the Bears. Now,
did Perriman? I'm sorry. Did Rashad Perriman ever play for the Chargers? I don't think he did.
I don't believe so.
Denzel Perriman did, not Rashad Perriman. Let's see what else we got here. Bucks, Chargers, first team All Pro. Andre Hall. I think that was or someone else. D'Angelo Hall. I'm trying to think of names here. Shouts to Evan in the chat, by the way.
So, man.
I'm trying to. Was it Andre Johnson, D'Angelo Hall? I'm mixing up names. Do you guys know where I'm going with this? Would that be too obvious? Yeah.
What about? Was Jonathan Joseph ever a All Pro?
I don't think
so.
The obvious ones are Watt and Hopkins. Was Arian Foster ever an All Pro?
Well, is it first team All Pro? Yes, it is. He was a second team All Pro.
Okay.
Jonathan Joseph. Arian Foster was.
He was.
Yeah.
That could be a good guess. I feel like that's not that obvious.
Okay, let's go with Arian Foster. 13%. Not terrible. Not terrible. What else do we got here? We got?
For the Bears, all right, think they've had like a run of line. It could be Singletary, Urlacher, Buckus, but those guys are pretty obvious.
What about
did Ditka ever play for the Bears?
I coach for them, but Ditka play for the Bears, and he was an All Pro.
I think that should be the answer then.
Yep.
What percentage is that?
3%. All right, we got 2 more. Bucks, Chargers, and then a Chargers All Pro. Damn, it's like Doug Flutie. Was he an All Pro?
Was Dan Fouts an All Pro? I don't know if that's obvious, just because he's in television.
So Flutie was not, and Fouts was an All Pro twice.
Okay.
What about Junior Seau?
That's okay.
I think he was an All Pro. I think.
What about Sean Merriman?
That's a good one.
Seau was Sean Merriman, because I remember he was in the Eli trade. Let's see. Yeah, Sean Merriman. So we could go Sau, or we could go Dan Fouts. Yeah, Dan Fouts. We got Merriman. We also got. Which one do you think we should go, guys?
Let's go with Coach Eds.
Sure.
All right.
We got to give him the respect.
Yes, Dan Fouts. 6%, not bad.
Oh, that's pretty good. Wow.
All right.
How did he get 6%, but Mike Lennon got 30? Whatever.
That was I don't get that. And then Bucks Chargers. What are we thinking? Bucks Chargers.
So Vincent Jackson's probably the obvious one.
Did Chase Daniel ever play for the Bucks?
I don't believe so.
I don't think he did.
No, I know he played for New Orleans. He played for the Bears. Yeah, no, Chase Daniel never played for the Bucks. What else we got here? You know, Armand would be good in this situation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he would always shout it out. Damn. Bucks Chargers. Wide receivers. Can't really think of any. Tight ends. I feel like backup quarterback could be like a diamond in the rough in this situation, but I don't know who. Like who backed up Phillip Rivers? I mean, Josh Johnson. We already No, wait. Johnson wasn't a Charger. No, probably not. I know he played for the San Diego Fleet, but he didn't play for the LA Chargers. Damn. I got hyped up for a moment there. Josh Freeman, probably not.
I'm trying to think. Running backs.
I mean, I'm thinking of Peyton Barber, Doug Martin, Ronald Jones.
We got to think of guys from like this 80s, 90s, 70s.
Not really good in that area.
Did Virgil Green ever play for the Bucks?
I don't think Virgil Green ever
I
did.
think Gary Anderson played for both.
Kicker?
No. He was a running back, I'm pretty sure.
There was Gary Anderson. There is Gary Anderson, the running back.
Hmm?
Yeah. No, he's right. Technically, he is right.
Give me that one.
I just gotta remember how it's spelled. That's a 90. Let's see.
I don't know which year. I think he was 80s, 90s.
One. 61. That's a 1% guess.
1%. All right. You know what? Considering the other than the Mike Lennon, I'm pretty sure all our guesses were like spot on. Although
close to spot on.
I call bullshit on that 31%.
I do too. I mean, that was no. I say we wait a little bit for baseball, unless you guys want to do it now until
I do. I mean, I'll cancel myself out because I already did it.
Okay.
All right.
By the way, Coach Ed did have a guess of Keenan McArdle, so we're gonna put this back up on the screen. Baseball.
All right.
Baseball. Okay, so we could, and so obviously he canceled himself out. You can go a couple of ways.
Can I be like the insurance? Can I be like the lifeline?
Possibly.
The insurance?
This is not like this is like Jeopardy.
Are you Jake from State Farm?
He's Jake from State Farm. All right, Cleveland and the Yankees.
I got one who's on your roster right now.
Okay.
The legend, Greg Allen.
Okay, let's see how that one does.
Greg Allen. Yep.
1%. Okay.
Greg Allen.
Trying to think for myself. Washington and the Yankees. Stephen Drew is one that comes to mind.
Mm-hmm.
Don't forget the Expos.
The Expos too.
Yeah.
I mean, El Duque would be obvious.
Soriano was the one, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Did he
both
play?
Rafael and Alfonso?
Yeah. Okay.
I have a really rare guess, but you know what? That's if you're on if you need me on the lifeline.
Yeah. No lifeline at the moment.
But I didn't use this guess today. Just going to keep that out there.
Oh, Stephen Drew is one. I pretty much only know Giants players, so I'm used to saying these things, but I like you guys. I like watching you guys stretch your brains. Yeah, it's always a fun exercise, just warming us up before the talk.
I know. I know a decent amount. I just sometimes it takes me a little bit, but I do eventually. We'll get it.
All right, Stephen Drew. Do you think we should go with that one, John?
Stephen Drew. Do you think he's obvious?
I can't imagine why. And also like Nationals pitchers. What about Ian Kennedy? Do you think he'd be obvious?
I don't think Ian Kennedy's obvious at all.
Okay, I'm just going to try to think of one more guess.
By the way, I just saw this, folks. Alex Collins, the former running back, has passed away.
Really?
The guy on the Ravens?
Yeah, that used to be a Raven, yes.
Oh, damn.
Prayers to his family.
Did Tyler Clippard ever pitch for the Yankees?
Yes, he did.
And that is one for the Nats and Yankees. I know he was a national.
I friggin' hated him. 9%.
9? Damn. How was that 9? Whatever.
Okay. I'm pretty sure Desmond Jennings did not. What did Yunel Escobar ever play for Washington?
I believe.
What about Asdrubal Cabrera?
Cabrera played for Washington. Yep.
Okay.
As Luca's like shaking his head, like
he's like eating and drinking and doing all that. I'm gonna go Yunel Escobar. I think it's a little bit more rare.
Okay. Yunel Escobar.
Okay. 3%. That's good. Let's see. Did Jose Guillen play for the Expos and have 200 hits in a season?
I don't know about 200 hits.
Okay.
If I'm being 100% honest.
Being completely transparent, guys.
That's right.
He did not. Orlando Cabrera, maybe. Trying to think. No. There's also other guesses we could do. Cleveland 200 hits in a season. Did Jason Kipnis ever get there? No.
No. I got one. One of the Rays guys that's having a solid season this year, Harold Ramirez, Rays Guardians. He started in Cleveland.
I didn't know about that.
Harold Ramirez, yep.
Let me see real quickly. I don't think
that's obvious.
Okay, because I'm just trying to think as well. Let's see. Because I feel like there's a couple more we could dig out in terms of those guys. Because I feel like there's a couple in terms of like Guardians and Tampa Bay.
Okay.
I feel like there's a few more. Like I don't think Desmond Jennings obviously knock him off because he didn't play for the Guardians.
Did that catcher Francisco Mejia do it? Did he play for both?
I believe he did actually.
Because I remember he was a Padre at one point. Then he was in the deal for like I don't remember who. It was like the Cal Quantrill deal that he was a part of.
Yeah,
in that trade.
Mejia.
And then now he's with he had a season or two with the Rays. I think that's an answer. Francisco Mejia. He was a top prospect at one point. I don't know what happened to him.
Okay. Would BJ Upton be obvious for 30 stolen bases if he did get there?
Probably, maybe. The other guy I'm thinking of is Carl Crawford.
Okay, so he did have over 40 stolen bases in a couple of seasons.
Yeah.
Carl Crawford. Let me just check this one other name too.
Could be an answer.
Stolen base. No, not him. Carl Crawford is you brought up, John. Yeah, he actually did over 50 a couple of times. So we could either go with Crawford or BJ Upton.
Who's more obvious? Like, who's the? I feel like
Luca. Who would you go with? He's chewing.
Can't wait for
that. Who did I go with, or what would I go with?
Who would you go with, Upton or Crawford?
Crawford.
Okay.
All right, Carl Crawford. Damn it, Luca, 42%.
Ah, no, I'll take blame. I'm the one that threw out the guess.
We're being robbed here, folks.
All
this is a robbery live.
You want to know what rare guess there?
Who?
Desmond Jennings.
He really had 30 steals. The hell? I got one for the Guardians, and that's just because it's like the one of the more funnier nicknames in baseball, but he was a good player. Shoeless Joe Jackson. That's right. That's right. Yep. No one ever guesses him.
Washington, 200 hits in a season. Yankees, 30 stolen bases in a season. I mean, Ricky Henderson played with the Yankees, but do you think the guess would probably be obvious?
I don't know. I feel like the more obvious guess is like a Brett Gardner.
I wouldn't even think of that.
That's how
Ricky,
he was Brett the Jet.
well, I mean, I'm just saying.
Oh,
Let's see what else we got. Speed. I'm trying to think speedsters for the Yankees in the 90s too. Like, you think
Soriano works here.
Fonzo Soriano?
Yeah, you remember he had a 40-40.
Well, Aaron Hicks couldn't even do a 30-30. Just remember that, guys. Just remember that. You guys want a rare guess for that one? You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no, it doesn't work. Fuck, I was looking in the wrong category. Shout out to Jeffrey in the chat. What's going on? We'll go with your guess. Alfonso Soriano.
Yeah, Soriano. I think
Bernie didn't steal like. Well, Bernie would also be obvious. So, Alfonso Soriano, 11%. Okay. We got two more. Washington, and 30 stolen bases and 200 hits.
All right. The obvious one I think for Washington is probably Guerrero with the Expos. Ryan Zimmerman probably did it as well.
Ryan Zimmerman is probably Bryce Harper. I mean, no, Bryce Harper. I'm like would have 200 hits in the season. Yeah, it's possible. Jeffrey, I'll get to your question in just a second once we finish out this grid.
What is up, man? Hope all is good.
Damn, this is a good one. Got two more comments in here, Jack Crick and YOLO. We'll get to you guys in a sec, but thank you for coming in. Definitely. Actually, you know what? I could always address it now as John thinks. I like how people downgrade on IKF, but at least he hits with runners in scoring position. Yeah, no, he's definitely one of the Yankees trying. Yes, Jeffrey, I did see your comment about the Patriots. But yeah, no, he definitely hits with runners in scoring position. And you know what? He's got a team first attitude. Baseball is a great sport, but baseball movies, on the other hand, are bad. Major League, The Sandlot. Oh, so this is a pretty tough take here. I mean, I have
a customer.
Yeah. Major League, I think is pretty funny. I haven't seen all of Moneyball or The Sandlot, and I haven't watched all of Bad News Bears.
I thought Moneyball was good, but it was flawed.
Yeah, I think the history is there in terms. Well, I guess it's flawed. Field of Dreams. No, Field of Dreams is not like my favorite alongside The Natural. What do you think of Ezekiel Elliott signing with the Pats today? I mean, I guess I would rather have just kept Ramondre Stevenson, but we'll see how he does. I guess he's like the second back. I prefer the Jets.
He's good for pass pro, I guess.
But, I mean, we'll see. So, Washington.
You don't think, did Soto ever get 200 hits?
It's possible, but that would be super obvious.
Super? Okay.
I have a less obvious guess if you use the lifeline.
All right, fine, Luca. We'll use the lifeline.
We'll use the lifeline.
Jose Vidro.
Okay.
Jets mess. I promise you, we will be definitely.
Yes, that will be. That's actually the first up on the docket.
Do not worry. Yeah, do not worry, my man. I promise we are going to cover some Jets today, and we're happy to do it.
Washington.
That is not a name I've heard of in a while, but yeah, that would work.
All right, that would work. And then one more.
Ooh, all right. Stolen bases, and you got this is a tough one. Stolen bases and hits.
One guess.
All right. Obviously, I'm not trying to think of anyone obvious.
We also got an attack on Aaron Rodgers in the comments, but I want to assess that when we get to Jets talk.
So. You have a chance to use the lifeline if you want, but this guess I had earlier, but it's like so rare.
You know what? I'm pretty sure he did it. I'm not 100% sure, but Honus Wagner. I'm just trying to think of like legends.
Lou Brock is another option.
Brock is another one I was thinking of. Okay, we can go with your guess, Lou Brock, if you want, or
all right,
we'll go with Yolo's guess, Lou Brock. That's a good guess.
6, not bad.
Not bad at all.
You want a rare guess? Rod Carew.
That's another one. All right, so we got some comments to assess, and then we got to break into the Jets talk a little bit here. Yeah, you're good, but Jack Crick is very critical of Aaron Rodgers. Also, Aaron Rodgers is a douche. Dude throws teammates under the bus and doesn't even talk to his own family. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Jack is a Ravens fan. So
he's an Orioles fan too, so it obviously makes sense.
Can we get? Yeah, we're gonna get to the Jets talk. Mr. Baseball's an underrated movie. Not a big fan.
I've never seen it.
Benchwarmers is
funny, dude.
It's iconic. But well, I guess I
will. I'm sorry, just like the one time where Alex went to the bathroom at Yankee Stadium and he heard the guy drunk.
Yeah, there was some dude at a urinal literally reciting the lines from freaking Benchwarmers. I thought it was the weirdest thing ever. I'm like,
the guts bust.
Yeah, that's literally what he was reciting. But Luke, I'll let you start. But for the first time on my channel, I will be playing this, and that's this.
Yep. I just want to address Jack's comment. That's a part of all the media perception. Obviously, you have a right to your own opinion. We respect it. But obviously the family part, that's personal. I'm not going to say we don't care about that, but that's off to the side. But whatever the media has said about him thus far is completely wrong. John, did you watch Hard Knocks? I got to ask you.
Did.
Okay.
What's the handshake? Let's hold up. Hold up.
But honestly, like, you look through. Go ahead.
I think he froze for a second, right?
Yeah, you froze a little. Sorry.
Did I?
Yeah. So you might have to redo the handshake.
All right. Do we have to redo it?
Yeah, of course. Of course we do.
Yes. All right. Better than a frozen screen, but.
But I was saying, John, like, in addition to Jack's comment, he's obviously has the right to an opinion, which he does. But I'm just saying, like, everything thus far the media has said about Aaron Rodgers is been critically wrong. I mean, when you talk about, throwing teammates under the bus, like, he's critical of his teammates, like, obviously when in the huddle. He's been a coach to Zach Wilson, whether I know John is, like, very critical of Zach Wilson, but Aaron Rodgers has been like a coach to him. And many people said, he would not be this guy to Zach Wilson. He would feel threatened or whatever. But everything that, whether it's the psychedelic drugs that he does or the weird shit he does, it's just like everything that came out beforehand about Aaron Rodgers, even when he was traded to the Jets, it's just false in my opinion.
I love how that this was brought up because earlier I think it was sometime last week, right? It was actually right the day after the preseason game between the Texans and Pats. And it made me realize how much they hate him because, and I'll just throw out, I didn't want to say who the name was, but it was Colin Cowherd. Okay. And I don't watch him, but I saw someone sent me this clip and he was talking about how, at first he was like kind of breaking down CJ Stroud a little, but then somehow he got off topic and was just bashing Aaron Rodgers. I'm like, what? Like, how much can you hate one guy? Like, that's just ridiculous, man. Like, talk about a personal vendetta.
That's what the media has against him, and he's been proving him wrong thus far.
I'm glad, and he's embraced New York. He really has.
I'm proud of that.
I'm proud of him for that. Oh yeah. So sad, but they let them hate. Let them hate.
Let the hate is hate. Mm-hmm. Jack says, I feel bad for Jets fans, though. Those Rex Ryan teams of 2009 to 2011 were so good. Sanchez was a promising quarterback. The defense was elite. In my opinion, the one thing that held the Jets back defensively, and this is a good, thing to mention, was they lacked a true pass rush. Everything was dialed up via the blitz. They obviously had great corners in Cromartie and Darrelle Revis. They had a nice linebacking core, but there was no real number one pass rusher on that team. Like Sean Ellis was, I'd say, passed by his best days. Vernon Golston was a draft bust. As I said, all those guys, Chris Jenkins was hurt.
About him.
But all those guys were like.
Was Dean Milner in that time or no?
No, that he was drafted in 2013. But regardless, talking about. MJ Mike brought this up, and I thought it was a great thing before we get into Dalvin. The 80s defense lacked cornerbacks, and they had, obviously, the sack exchange. Mark Gastineau, Abdul Salam, Marty Lyons, and Joe Klecko. The 2000s, you obviously had Darrelle Revis, Antonio Cromartie in the secondary, but you lacked a true pass rush because there's nobody really feared except a blitz, and everybody could pick it up. It was pretty obvious. Now, the Jets defense has a combination of both. They have an excellent pass rush, which we'll get into the game recap, and a secondary with depth and 2 stud corners. So I thought I'd bring that up.
I just want to get to a few comments real quick.
Go right ahead.
No problem, Jeff. Jack says the above statement is a hot take. P.S. I have a soft spot for Rex, considering he used to be part of our coaching staff in the early 2000s.
Defensive coordinator.
Correct, yeah. I know y'all are Giants and Jets, but did y'all hear about the Commanders? The only thing that's been going on that I know of is that fans want the name back to the Redskins.
And also the Eric Bieniemy stuff. I see that Tyreek Hill and McCole Hardman are taking have Bieniemy's back because apparently the players have been saying that he's too hard on them.
I mean, like I don't know what I'm gonna act like the reporter in this situation, say like I don't know what goes on, but he is a better offensive coordinator and offensive mind than Scott Turner. So keep adding these players like you're getting past Mahomes and Kelsey in the AFC Championship. Killer Joe says,
look at the hater.
The Patriots fan in the chat. One of the Patriots fans, I should say. Have
fun with Mac Jones.
He's going to take that. He's going to take that next leap. I don't think so.
No.
Well, at least we're not. At least thus far, you guys are not a jackass defense.
He's laughing.
Eating a bunch of cheeseburgers. We need that as like a soundbite. Like a bunch of jackasses eating a bunch of cheeseburgers.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they said Native American group got over 90,000 signatures. Yeah, I mean, listen, like
I saw like the there was something on the Native American Guide or something like that on Instagram. Like,
well, good.
Would take.
I'm glad they got over the 90,000 signatures. I'm not going to get into it a whole lot, but I'm going to say I'm glad.
Of course. Like the Native American, this foundation said they'd actually take offense if the name wasn't put back. Like
what kind of a name is the Commanders?
Yeah, it's stupid, but it's like that specific foundation. Now, there's some that oppose the name, some that are for the name, like I would have just mentioned. But it's like they see that as a representation of their people, the tribe.
Mm-hmm.
So it's an interesting topic. I guess fans are back for it, which I thought maybe it was just the cloud of Dan Snyder and him being a douche dick.
Could be. It could be. But yet again, and I mean, I don't even know if the Commanders are better than the Washington football team. Remember that
those
for
are
a
just
single
two
year?
shitty names. What was it? The San Antonio Commanders from like 2-3 years ago in the fucking AAF?
Yeah.
That's shitty league. But I just want to get to some of the game recap. You know what? We're not even going to go into the game recap. We signed a player, that being Dalvin Cook, obviously released this past year from the Minnesota Vikings. Contract details at about $1.6 million in about incentives and $7 million in base salary. John, your thoughts? I know you were originally against this idea. You've somewhat warmed up to the Dalvin Cook idea. Your thoughts?
Oh, I like it. I mean, when I say I've warmed up to it, I've never thought Dalvin Cook was a bad player. Last 4 seasons in the NFL, he's rushed for over 1,000 yards. Okay, he's had 2 seasons where he's had more than 10 touchdowns as well. So it's not like I think the guy's a slouch or anything. I didn't think that running back was necessarily a position of need on this team. But you know what? Now that it's like we're into training camp and we can add a piece to a depth at a premium position, not a premium position, but a position of wealth, I'd say. Then you know what? Why not? I like his game. He's very, he can run through the tackles very well, in my opinion. And it only makes the question of like, because the running back depth chart is like, okay, well, you have Cook now. You're going to have Breece Hall. Obviously, he's not going anywhere. It's just those last spots of Abinaconda, Zonovan Knight, and Michael Carter. And that's really what it comes down to is who's the odd man out, because it does look like we're going to keep a fullback with Nick Bawden.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
So that's already 3 backs right there. I know Bawden's a fullback. It's a little different. But again, and this is why I want to see, this is why these preseason games are very important, because, me and Luca both watched, and we're going to get into it more. But, I thought Carter and Abinaconda did a really good job the other day. So I don't know. I don't know who the odd man out. I don't know personally who the odd man out would be yet.
My prediction, it's probably Bam Knight, in my opinion. Maybe they just throw him on the practice squad because I mean, listen, he had flashes last year, but he slowed down, I think, in my opinion, towards the end of the season. But that was also in victim, and I think, to defenses adjusting to Zach Wilson, where they would stack the box and he would run into a loaded box every time. So you had no ability to run the football. That was obviously with Carter and Bam Knight. Knight actually had a touchdown against the Bills. But, you could say both. Alex, you have your hands up like you're in school.
Well, I mean, listen, I would like to give my perspective on this. Can I not?
Well, I was going to finish off, but
If you're going to
yes,
finish off, go ahead.
you can. Yeah, we'll get to Alex next. But was it an overpay? Sorta. I would have stopped at $5 million. The 2 million going over $2 million. I'd say $2 million overpay in August is not that big of a deal. This isn't like the Le'Veon Bell deal where you're getting long-term ramifications badly wise when it comes to that. But this is not a March signing; it's an August signing. So you know what? I'm for it. But I also think, in junction to what some fans said, some fans had their concerns, not so much about Dalvin Cook, the player, but, with the other needs on the team. Linebacker, I'm less worried about. Backup quarterback and offensive line are my worries right now. So, as long as the Jets have enough money to attack what they need to get with that, like signing a Dalton Risner, which would move ABT to right tackle, or signing a Carson Wentz. Hopefully we cut Tim Boyle because he's absolute dog shit. But I like the signing. I can't, like, from this perspective of just adding a Pro Bowler to your squad when you're trying to go all in, and add as many weapons as possible,
Mm-hmm. Just that I have a quick stat here. Since 2017, only 3 guys have rushed for more yards than Dalvin Cook, and that's Nick Chubb, Ezekiel Elliott, and Derrick Henry. Dalvin Cook is 4th on that list.
Right. I also think he, somebody was going off or whatever. Somebody, Jets content creator. I'm not going to mention them by name because I don't think it's worth it. They were saying, you know what? Oh, I got to go delete my Patriots Zeke tweets. Like, as a content creator, you have all the statistics to back up the Dalvin signing, even if you don't like it. Like, I think the Dalvin signing to me is better than the Zeke signing. But you could say that the Patriots are using Zeke as more of like a second back, probably, or at least going hand in hand with Ramondre Stevenson. Mm-hmm. Right now, with Breece Hall, we don't know if he's going to be ready for week 1. And you know what? The guy's, 22, 23 years old? You don't want him to screw up that knee even more. You don't want him to properly you don't want him to improperly recover where it affects him the rest of his career. He's still young and all. So let's, how could you not be? I mean, you understand, again, I understand, the financial ramifications when it comes to adding other positions, but still, I think it's a solid move.
This is my turn now.
Yes, it's your turn.
So in terms of the Dalvin Cook signing, I mean, I think it's good for the Jets. I thought it was silly the other day. I mean, I don't know how you guys felt about it in the time where, what was I going to say? Dalvin Cook, the whole rumors were still going around, and Michael Carter's like, he's a good running back, but we were kind of set where we are. Like, how did you guys feel about that? Because I know a lot of people on Twitter were saying you're not the GM, Michael.
Well, he can't speculate on. I mean, he could hear the rumors, but he can't necessarily worry about players that come in,
of course,
from outside teams. So he's got to kind of say that. I mean, you can't. You really can't comment on guys that aren't on the team. I mean, I'm not saying that. Whether Carter thinks that's competition, because remember, he was very vocal and upset once they made the James Robinson trade for him last year, although it turns out James Robinson looks awful, as Alex might also know. But so it'd be very interesting. And then when you bring up Zonovan Knight being the odd man out, I'm not so sure because I don't know the attitude of Michael Carter. And how well that's going to impact his play for the next preseason game.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, to further add to my point, I thought it was weird. I mean, again, I'm not in the Jets circle, so I can't even say much of anything. But I honestly think the Jets have I can't say most to gain, but I think Carter is the odd man out, if I'm being honest. I think Carter is the odd man out in this situation because I believe you have the most to gain by trading him. There's going to be obviously a team that may pick him up for a 6th-round pick or something like that. And Bam Knight, at least, so you remove Bam Knight, maybe you cut him and put him on the practice squad. Even then, it's not a total loss because it's not like Bam Knight's like this all-pro second running back, whatever. So you got Abanikanda, you got Dalvin Cook, and you have Breece Hall. Now, I'm going to ask Luca, how is Breece Hall progressing? Because this is going to determine my statement.
They believe he's going to be ready for week 1, but I have no clue how far along he is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what? We have no clue in terms of how much reps he's going to get. That's the main question.
I don't know if he is going to be ready for week 1, if I'm being honest. But like again, now with Dalvin Cook, I'm okay with that. Like I can live with Breece Hall getting a few weeks off if he's not ready, and saying, you know what, we'll go into a running back room with these guys instead, and be like, okay, that's not a weakness at all. Then
I think. I'm sorry to interrupt, Alex, but I think also Michael Carter still has a chance to prove something, in my opinion. He obviously played well against the Panthers. That's fine. Obviously, the preseason reps and 2s and 3s and whatever. But Cook is also coming back from shoulder surgery, so he's going to work. It's not going to be as long as a recovery as Breece Hall, obviously, from the ACL and the meniscus. But you know what? He's going to have some time to recover, but Michael Carter still can be the shining star. So obviously, you have that. Bam Knight, again, only a few good games last year. He was good, but proven player, I tell you, is Dalvin Cook.
Zesty Joe says Zeke will have more yards than Cook.
Is that a Joe Shane kind of Photoshop?
That is
he might. I mean, well, I don't know actually. That depends because
depends how
I wouldn't think so.
I don't know because I don't know who's going to be the running back usage so far. You got to see how people come back healthy. But again, the Pats, like we said, they have Ramondre Stevenson. So I don't know how many touches per game Zeke is going to get.
Right. And like the thing with the Carter, the whole situation is, I mean, not just his deflection of the whole Dalvin Cook thing is the Jets right now have needs at linebacker and O-line. And if you could go out there and trade Carter for maybe like a solid backup or someone who could turn into a starter, I think that may be an avenue that Joe Douglas might want to cross, being that the Jets have no O-line depth. Then again, like some of their starters are in question. So it's like where you are in that situation. And I don't think that you could just say, oh, cut Bam Knight and then obviously put him on the practice squad. Like I'm not totally 100% on that. If I was a Jets fan, you could cut him and easily put him on the practice squad, but roll with 3 running backs, see how Breece is. I don't think the concerns for Dalvin Cook on third down or pass protecting, you could easily probably shift that to Abanikanda if that's not a flaw for
Michael
him.
Carter.
I'm talking about Michael Carter not being on the Jets in this case. So you could have the 3, and then you could have Nick Bawden. So I think the Jets would have most to gain by trading Carter to another team. And apparently there's like a lot of teams interested in Michael Carter. So the Jets could get a draft pick or whatever they want in that situation. But also you could look at the other side of it and say, you're not getting someone who is better than the starters you have right now on the offensive line, which is literally the X factor at this point for the offense. And I know, yes, we've crossed the bridge 100 times where we've said Aaron Rodgers makes the offensive line better, but from what I'm reading in camp, from what I'm seeing in these games, the offensive line is pretty terrible. And so, some stuff in the running game is good. Some stuff in the running game is bad, but I don't know, man. I mean, listen, it's a good signing, but I don't know. I'm just the way the O-line has, and I've seen stuff on Twitter. Nah. And I know that's its own topic though.
Right. So I just saw this tweet. I think this was also by NYJ Mike. It was looking back at some running back duos for the Jets over previous times. So the question was, are Breece Hall and Dalvin Cook the Jets' best running back duo of all time? We look back to 2010, Sean Green and LaDainian Tomlinson. You go back to early 2000s, Curtis Martin and Lamont Jordan. You go back to the 1960s with Emerson Boozer and Snell. I forget it. Matt Snell, that's what his name was. Had a brain fart there for a sec. And Chris Johnson and Chris Ivory. So the question is, how does this compare to the running back duos we've seen? I'd say it comes pretty close to, I think Breece Hall will be better than Sean Green, but I'd say it comes close to 2009, 2010 crew. What do you say, John?
You think with LT and
Sean Green?
Sean Green,
yeah.
Jesus.
Not that he's literally LT. But...
No. I know what you meant. I'm trying to think. Was there anyone like that was more significant? Like, This could be one of the best running back rooms we've had in like a while.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to say it is yet just because health is a concern with some of these guys.
Right.
But it could potentially be. I mean, but again, my thing of potential is like you could be all this and that, but you can't stay on the field, then, we're not going to be competitive at all if that's the case, if guys can't stay healthy. The one thing I also did want to point out with Dalvin Cook, right? It's not like it guarantees the Jets like a Super Bowl, but it only adds to their cause for a deep playoff run. Get as many of these guys as you can to help out. And you know what? If an injury happens, hey, we have the depth at the position. Now, going back to Alex with the offensive line, which we're going to get into more, I have to say Joe Douglas, besides the offensive line, has done a good job of addressing every other single position. In my opinion.
That's fair.
I think he's gotten at least adequate to like good or great, like either depth or starters based on his moves at every position but the offensive line.
That's fair. That's fair. I mean, you look at the safety room. I think we're a little more. Hopefully, we're confident. Tony Adams. He's.
How would you attest linebacker though?
Linebacker.
Really
I'm
wasn't
mixed
his guy.
What?
Because Mosley really wasn't his guy. It was McCaffrey.
No, I know.
No, but I do have to say Sherwood has impressed. He's impressed me. I know we need to see them in regular season games against the ones like actual starters, but I have a little more confidence in it than I did before camp.
Yeah, it seems like obviously we'll get into the linebackers themselves. Jonathan says, "Do you think this pushes the Jets to make an AFC Championship now?" Again, it all comes down to the offensive line, but with the weapons, sure.
I'm gonna say no. In the words of, and this is not me being controversial, but once you see my point, you'll be like, okay, I understand him. It's not a move that moves the needle 100 meters ahead, in my opinion. Like if you were to go out and trade for Zach Martin, I'd say okay, I'd have a little bit more confidence, but
I don't think we were getting him.
No. I mean, just for opinion and scenario sake, I don't think this was. You already had a good backfield. Yeah, right. It was great adding to it, but of course, there's a lot of things also as well. Do you think Bijan Robinson will rush? I say over 600. I don't see why not.
Yeah, I'd say so too.
But I mean, I had my previous thoughts on the Jets AFC Championship hopes. It still remains in the offensive line, but just reviewing the positions real quick before we get into the whole game breakdown, as John was pointing out about the depth. I think the Jets have good depth in the offensive line. The starters are questionable. That's my point. Because you don't want Billy Turner starting, in my opinion.
No, again, though, when you go back to this offensive line talk, I would honestly just say, because I don't trust the tackle spot, especially.
But right, of course. It's questionable.
I would let AVT start a tackle.
No, 100%. I would agree. And he's willing to do it. He said, if they have to move me to tackle, I'll go to tackle.
I know they want him at guard, but tackles – football is not a game of, every position's equal. That's just not the case. Tackles are more important than guard.
You can
not
find
saying
a
guard's
guard.
Not important, but
John, you can find a guard, but tackles are a dime a dozen. Yeah. How many? Not talking about the Giants, really. How many Trent Williams or Andrew Thomases or those type of caliber guys are tackles? Or I should
not
say,
many.
How many are
average tackle in the NFL now? In my opinion, you either get a bust or you get a Pro Bowler, and it's not really if I don't know if you guys seen, but that first preseason game, Jedrick Wills got lit up by Chase Young. It was bad. It was, and this guy was a top 10 pick. He was projected to be at the top of the class.
I think he's still solid. It's just not. He's not great.
Browns fans hate him.
They
do. I was reading the comments. Browns fans hate him because he was drafted that high, and now he's considered a bust. Now,
expectations.
You put him on the right side, maybe he does something different. But it's just once again, I think also as well, the 49ers game that I think was what happening yesterday. Trey Lance was sacked 2 within the first 3 downs of the game. So again, I just.
I'm also thinking of a guy like Lane Johnson, but he's been there for the Eagles for years.
Yeah. Pro Bowl.
Brian's tackle Tristan Wirfs, although he's more on the right side, but he's still a tackle. I'm just like those guys are like, rare of the rare to find. So you usually, in most cases, you have to draft them well.
Mm-hmm.
But when I look at this roster and I'm like, well, AVT has shown he can play tackle.
Of course, he's been solid.
And you can put him over the right side, and I can live in a world with Dwayne Brown playing left tackle.
Yeah,
albeit health issues aside, like I think he can do an adequate job. And then, you could have like the inside of like, Tippmann, McGovern, and Tomlinson, and I'd be okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's and figure out the depth later.
Yeah, just let's at least be adequate. Obviously Zach Rosenblatt put out that Billy Turner is quote unquote the favorite to start at right tackle. But you know what? Somebody brought up a good point on the Jets turbulence space. Obviously, I was a part of that this afternoon and got to engage in football conversations. And the person made a really good point. He says the Jets never really got their true right tackle. They always search for guys who could play right tackle, not are definite right tackles. Like you think of Dwayne Brown, he can only play left tackle because that's what he's played for the majority of his career. You don't have a sure-hand right tackle. Mekhi Becton was a left tackle. Billy Turner, I'm sure he was a left tackle at some point. So it's like it's an interesting point to bring up. But again, like even Dwayne Brown
AVT spectrum, like the whole specter of that AVT moving to right tackle.
Yeah. Dwayne Brown has question marks. He's 38 years old. Is he going to be the same as last year just to be adequate? Mekhi Becton.
Worried about his health I know what you meant, but I'm saying I'm more worried about his health and his age.
Right, I understand. Obviously, coming off a torn rotator cuff surgery, and Mekhi Becton, there's plenty of concern around him. Obviously, we'll talk about that more in depth. But is he? How long is his knee going to withstand? Because the Jets have not played him at right tackle for the entirety of camp, not even during preseason games.
To me, that makes no sense. That makes absolutely zero sense right there.
See, that's where I'll actually, and this is not giving a pout to my team, but like the Giants have crossed, despite that they've played horribly, which is a whole separate entity. Right. But they've cross-trained guys like Marcus McKeithen, who we drafted last year. He's played right tackle. He's played guard in camp. But, I mean, I just don't get that because left tackle, I mean, it's not a sure thing that Dwayne Brown's going to be healthy, but I don't know. Just the whole operation, which he's got to
get. Mekhi Becton has to get starting. I'm sorry to interrupt again, Alex. You made a very good point. Mekhi Becton has to get starting reps sometime this week, and it has to be a lot of reps because obviously we're going against the Bucs defensive line, and I'm sure they're a better defensive line than the Panthers were. But Mekhi Becton, I think, in my opinion, has to start playing right tackle this week.
And it's not even that too, Luca. It's just that Mekhi Becton was even struggling against the 2 squad.
Yeah, no, but hold up, Alex. I'm in agreement with Luca because you know what? I'm not really, I don't mean to sound so like,
negative
or, toward his health and concern, but I'm not really concerned about how his feelings are in terms of, keeping him safe. And then that's what Salah was saying, basically, that we want to make sure he's comfortable out there. I'm not really concerned with that. I'm trying to go for a deep playoff run. If your knee can't hold out, we got to get someone else. We can't just sit here and wait and hopefully your knee is okay. No.
I agree, John. I agree with you 100%. But you know what? I gotta be honest with you. I think that's what's the holdup is. It's because obviously left tackle and right tackle, 2 different transitions. Left tackle. He was at left tackle in his rookie season and his second season for partial. But it seems like that right knee is bothering him. I'm not. I agree with what you're saying, but. Like if Dwayne Brown, they sound like Dwayne Brown is coming back for sure, 110%. Obviously,
health and the problem with that, Luca, is Robert Saleh has lied about injuries before.
No, I agree with you.
But I do want to take.
I agree with you 100%.
I do want to take a timeout for 2 things, and then we'll get back on the subject. Jesper Smith says cut Blob Becton, but I also want to take. We'll do this at every top of the hour. We are now sponsored by SeatGeek. Get $20 off your ticket order with the promo code Big Blue in the Bronx. Just wanted to put that out there. We'll do that at every top of the hour. It works for tickets to concerts, games, parking passes, stuff like that. Just wanted to throw that out there once again, not to cut off Luca. but to get our brand out there and stuff like that, and for people to start using the promo code. So, but yeah, no, going back to the original point, I mean, you can't really trust Salah's like Aaron Boone
definitely.
with
I completely agree with you. Going back to last year, the year before with Becton, but overall, just looking at the big picture, they're expecting Dwayne Brown back. Obviously he hasn't come back yet, which is concerning in my opinion, because we're almost in mid-August. We're close to mid-August at least. And, they're saying, he said like last week, or the week before, give him 2 weeks and all that different stuff. But they need to play him at right tackle, meaning Becton, because obviously if they're expecting Dwayne Brown back, Becton has to play right tackle. And then, in my opinion, if he doesn't win the left tackle, the right tackle job, he's going to bitch and moan, and I think he's going to want to trade out. But to be fair, obviously, he basically, I don't want to say confessed, but he was like, my knee might not ever be the same. But again, as John said, if he's not going to be effective at right tackle, he's going to have to be either traded, you have to get somebody else. So I think obviously that remains the concern.
To launch back on the point, by the way, Jester Smith said Jets tried out 2 offensive.
Yes, they did. It was Zach Banner and who was the other name? Ty Nsekhe, who played last.
Which honestly, I would hope those guys actually try out for the Giants. But if he doesn't like right tackle, they'll let him go cry in Burger King. Says Jester Smith. That's so funny.
Banner's not a bad depth option. I mean, I don't know how he was.
Starter with Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I would consider him being a starter.
Like, my thing is, and I would be the same exact way if it was the Giants. It's not me ragging on the Jets. I'll go back to this with Joe Douglas. I do not like, from an outsider standpoint, how he addressed the offensive line, because you knew Pittsburgh at least a little bit would try to trade up for a tackle.
100%.
Yeah, listen, Will McDonald has stunned people's expectations so far. A couple
it's
of
not
different
the player.
sacks.
It's not the player.
It's not the player. It's the position. It's the pick. Mm-hmm. And, you could say, oh, well, we shouldn't have, we would have had to trade up this many picks. So what? Like, would you rather have Roderick Jones right now, or would you rather have Carter Warren? And I honestly think, I know Primetime said it on a different show, but he's like, Carter Warren's not going to see snaps this year. I don't think so. I think he's going to have to thrust in that position, just like a guy, like what was I going to say? Just like Max Mitchell. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Like, you could have used that Carter Warren pick to go up. What was it? What was the whole trade with Cleveland during the draft, Luca?
We traded with Cleveland on the precipice. I mean, I don't remember if we traded with the draft, but I just remember the Elijah Moore trade. And obviously we sent, a second round pick for a swap, and we got Aaron Rodgers through that, and Joe Tippmann, which I'm obviously thankful for. But and Joe, obviously from Jets Turbulence, he mentioned, just from the standpoint, he's like, even when the Jets were waiting for Aaron Rodgers and the trade to pull through, they'd have to think of some sort of plan to protect him, right?
Right, and exactly. And even if he wasn't your quarterback, even if Zach Wilson was the quarterback or somebody else, it's just like, you literally could have gone into the situation. And I don't want to, turn this into a whole Joe Douglas ripping session, but I feel like it's just a salient.
It's a concern.
You pull the left tackle, because that's the second most, in my opinion, second most important position on the offensive side of the ball in the NFL, just in general in football. So you have that, and then you could literally play with everything else, right? In that situation, yeah, you might have to give up your second round pick, but also, I mean, you could probably not have swapped. What was it? The second round? Did you swap a second for Elijah Moore, or was it for the Aaron Rodgers?
Second round pick. It was a swap, I believe, or we just send a second on the regular.
Yeah, I mean, if you send a second on the regular, I wouldn't necessarily agree with that. But to the original point, like, you could go there and say, okay, we're gonna draft Roderick Jones, or we're gonna draft Darnell Wright, or whoever the hell you want to play left tackle. You could move AVT to the right side. If you're not comfortable with Max Mitchell, you could still probably take a developmental tackle in the later rounds, just to say, okay, this guy, we're going to train him to be the swing tackle. Maybe re-sign Connor McGovern. I mean, in that situation, you probably have to, or sign Ben Jones and say, okay, he's the starting center because we're going to go all in. You could say Laken Tomlinson, fine. We're going to go ahead and, give him another year because he sucked last year. Right guard, do whatever in that situation. Maybe re-sign Nate Herbig, or go to right tackle and say, Elijah Vera Tucker, you're playing right tackle. Something along those lines. But the whole situation could have been different, but it just seems like the Jets in this situation. And again, I don't want to turn it into a ripping session for Joe Douglas, because he's done a couple of different things well. This team is looking optimistic. But from an outsider standpoint, The offensive line is the biggest question. And that's kind of what happened to the Giants in 2017. I mean, yeah, they didn't have a lot of different things go their way, but they had Eric. They could have signed Andrew Whitworth. A lot of people didn't know that. They could have signed Andrew Whitworth. Jerry Reese said no, and they started Eric Flowers instead. Not that that's this situation, but still, I just feel like not trading up for a very good left tackle in this draft is going to hurt them.
Why do you think I was so upset about the pick?
It wasn't even about the like.
And
it kind of was about.
You know what's going to be worse? I'm sorry to cut you off. You know what's going to be worse? And this is not something that Aaron Rodgers can completely control. If Robert Saleh does his rotations again.
That's true. That's true. But you know what?
Because if he's only getting a portion of the snaps, then you would say, why did we draft Will McDonald in the first for him to only play 40%?
It's a good point. Obviously, I think the second rotation, the defensive line's effective, but you know, it is a good point. And like, I mean, what could you say was wrong there? But obviously, the offensive line remains a concern. We'll get into all that. But one unit that I feel strongly about, in a good way, is the defensive line, which I just mentioned a couple of minutes ago. Young defensive line dominated in a 27-0 shutout victory versus the Panthers. Will McDonald had a sack in the preseason. He's had 25 pass rush snaps, a sack, and a 24% pressure rate. I almost stumbled my words there. But to put that in perspective, I'm going to pull it out right now. I have the stat. To put that into perspective, the two best pass rushers in the league, Michael Parsons and Nick Bosa, had 17.4% and 12.7% rate last year on pressures. So,
what's up, Jacob?
What's up to Jacob? So he's been very good. Obviously, you know, getting the pressures, getting the hits. He's been, again, it wasn't the player, it was more of the pick. I'm just going to try to find something here real quick. This is a little bit of his preseason play thus far. Again, one sack, but 24% pressure rate.
Speaking of Jets fans, Armand is in the chat. He says, what's up? All Dalvin Cook, baby. Let's fucking go.
So this has been McDonald throughout the preseason, number 99 on the left side.
I want to see. I mean, I don't know, Luca, you watched the game more than me. I want to see him go up against, you know, if he did. If not, then oh well. Akeem Aquana really struggled.
What number is he? I'm curious. Let me look at the Panthers depth chart. By the way, the Jets wreaked so much havoc on the Panthers offensive line, they had to have an extra team meeting afterwards, after the game. Jeez. So that left tackle right there, was at 74, is Larnell Coleman. He's the third string, but on the right side, number 75 is Cam Irving. But anyways, McDonald on the left side. Good combination. That is Jermaine Johnson on the right side as they team up for the sack, half sack charge to each of them. Good pressure there.
He does a very good job of using his hands as leverage.
Absolutely.
What I want to see is him in the running game.
He's been okay in the running game. I really haven't seen him featured a lot, but that was his downfall, I guess, in college because he was kind of small. Here we go again, left tackle, spin move, and the hit. But that's been Will McDonald this far, as I mentioned. So moving up, this is Jermaine Johnson, obviously on the sack. He's continuing to show he's a different player. Had made some impact in the Browns game. We're going to see Jermaine Johnson arriving for the sack, or I should say half the sack. Here we go. Spin, power, slam. He also teamed up with Bryce Huff that time. So that was, I think, his portion of half a sack. We'll see that again. Barnes right here, Huff on the edge, Smart inside. Spin, push, sack.
Ooh.
Now, I wonder what's wrong with the right tackle here. Alex, can you see? Just tell us what's wrong with the right tackle here. Does he just get overpowered?
I mean, he doesn't punch right away.
Also, his feet. If you go back, he's like off balance. Watch.
And it's just the fact that Cam Irving is a backup tackle in this league.
He was like off balance with his feet. You can tell.
But So exciting to see Jermaine Johnson. I hope he gets a bulk of the snaps this year. I understand Carl Lawson, is on the edge, and they restructured his contract. We're all happy he's back and all, but Jermaine Johnson needs to get the bulk of the snaps. Just for the record, I'm going to pull out. Some people said he had a disappointing year last year, but in my opinion, I thought he was okay. I thought he could have gotten more of the snaps. 14 games. The snap percentage for the defense was about 34%. I like to see that go up a little bit. He definitely needs those snaps. He's a different player. I mean, just like even the number switch to 11 has just made him a better player. But let me see this, because I think this is where he puts out a nasty hit on, I think this was Bryce Young. Basically, his welcome to the NFL moment. You guys are going to be like shocked and awe with this hit.
I saw this hit, but this was a nice play.
Here we go. Oh, fucking X. Let's pull down. Buckle up for Jermaine Johnson is right. Let's pull this up. Right side. Sees the double team, identifies it, and just goes right through the middle. Huff could have had a hand on him, but he actually got it around to Kwanu that time.
Yeah, he did.
And just a nasty hit. Surprised that wasn't called for roughing the passer, but better it wasn't. Also getting some sacks. I mentioned Bryce Huff, Deslin Alexander, Bruce Hector with a strip sack, and Quentin Jefferson. So, John, how confident do you feel about this defensive line? It's so good that, you know what? I'm going to ask you this. Where do you rank the Jets defensive line among the league?
I mean, it's got to be up there with the best in football. I mean, in terms of overall depth, it might be number one. And that's just because, you're seeing I don't think people realize that Carolina played their ones at first. Like
right.
they had their offensive line, they had their starting receivers, their starting quarterback, like they had it. And there was other positions of the defense that I was very pleased of, but Jermaine Johnson, like you said it, man, the snaps need to go up for him. I'd even argue Bryce Huff was just as impactful on Saturday afternoon's game. You could see him; his speed is too much for some of these bigger tackles, and it's causing havoc. As you saw him beat Aquanu a few times in that game, and other tackles as well. But now you throw in Will McDonald, who I like the use of his hands. I like his spin move that he has, and another speed edge rusher that we have. So it is good to have. I guess it is good to have a lot of depth at that position. But you start. Wait until we have these guys in the game, and wait until like Lawson causes havoc and Quinnen Williams is starting to cause havoc, because they haven't even seen a preseason game yet, and you know what they can do as well, especially Quinnen, who you know how much I love him. And John Franklin Myers, whether he plays inside or out, like this is going to be a deadly, deadly pass rush. Like you better be like almost max protection against these guys, because they're going to be up there for leaders in sacks this year.
Tony says Jermaine Johnson was a beast at FSU with my cousin Jashawn Corbin. I was very happy when the Jets drafted Jermaine Johnson. I still think
same draft class too, by the way. Not the same year.
And obviously the Jets traded up. So it's funny, John.
And then when you're ready, Luke, I'd like to get to some comments, but keep going.
Sure. But I was going to say, John, last year, our first lineup, or I should say first unit, you want to call it, for the first rotation for the defensive line was Lawson, Quinnen, Sheldon Rankins, JFM. Now we go to, it would be Lawson, Quinnen, JFM, and Quentin Jefferson. Unless you want to throw Quinn like pass rush snaps, it's going to be Quentin Jefferson on the inside. I don't know if he could play outside. I'm not too sure about that. But you could also throw in JFM on the inside. He's more effective on the inside with pass rush snaps. You could do multiple rotations where you could have Jermaine Johnson be on the edge. Bryce Huff.
I was going to suggest, you can move Frank Myers to the inside with Williams, and then Lawson and Jermaine Johnson can be your starting, edge rushers in the 4-3 that we play. But I know there's going to be other packages that, we're going to have Al Woods in the middle as well. Like you said, Quinton Jefferson. I guess Solomon Thomas as well, just because Robert Saleh loves him. Not sure why. I think I was going to have your packages with Bryce Huff and Will McDonald's going to be thrown in there. I feel like Will McDonald's going to be used in the Jermaine Johnson role last year.
Yeah, that sounds fair.
And it was funny because I was like looking at the PFF grades. Not that those should be the important determining factor. But like, they were all excellent with their
Pass rush
I forget
win
the
rate.
stat, the pass rush rate, but also like the win rate, I guess it's
Yeah,
called.
that's
And
what
I'm
it's
like,
called.
oof, like they bullied Carolina in that especially in that first half. I mean, I know the backup or third stringers and more practice squad players did some of the same in the second half, but they did a great job in that first half.
Like they, in my opinion, obviously Jetsman Smith is a question. I'll get to that in a sec. The Jets have probably like their second rotation upgraded last year. Like this year, should I say? We were worried about losing. No, I'm sorry, not Solomon Thomas. Sheldon Rankins. Fair enough. We got Quentin Jefferson, who is the leading sack getter for the Seattle Seahawks last year. Al Woods is a certified run stuffer. Solomon Thomas, I think, might be one of those guys who is on his way out, probably, in my opinion. Michael Clemens can play. He's jacked. He can play the inside or the outside. So it's like the second rotation, I'm not worried so much about if they have to go in games because that's still filled with young talent and some veterans. So, Alex, you want to flow through the comments? We can answer them.
Yeah, sure. Where do you rate the Jets defense? I mean, you got to rate it at least top 5, top 10 if you don't top 5.
Mm-hmm.
Top
Around
5.
5 to 10
There's
range.
a lot of talent. There's
5 to 10 range.
there. Michael Clemens could
another
join the line on the inside with Quinnen. Yeah, no, I agree. How many D-line do we take?
I think 10 or 11.
9 or 10.
Yeah, 9
10
or 10
probably.
Right.
See, I'm trying to get it from a 3-4 perspective because our defense runs a 3-4. So
we're
I would
4-3.
have to jot that down. I could see the one line being Lawson, JFM, Quinnen, and Jefferson. Now, do you think that Will McDonald and Jermaine Johnson are the eventual replacements for Carl Lawson?
Yes.
Yeah. I like I said, I'd start Jermaine Johnson now on the opposite side of Lawson.
100%.
What's
up, Ron? What was I going to say? I just lost my train of thought. Damn it.
They better put JFM on the inside. We have too much speed on the outside. Yeah,
100%.
I don't see JFM winning against offensive tackles. I just don't see it.
He's more of a run. Yep. He's a run setter on the edge on rundowns, but when it comes to pass rush, he's so much better on the inside.
As of now, you think Johnson was deserving of the first rounder?
I think he's going to be. But the way
I love the move when we had him or when we originally took him.
John and Luke, you take the Cook move, could move one of those, basically one of the running backs running out.
I'd say, Jake, we talked about it a little earlier. I'd say more Michael Carter. I think Breece Hall is safe and he's not going anywhere on this team unless, something knee-wise he's not healthy. But I could see it more with Michael Carter. There's no way they would get rid of Breece Hall to make room for no chance in hell.
I mean, I have a little question that's kind of in relation to Armin's thing right here. Do they have Johnson as hand in dirt, or they have him as a stand-up linebacker?
Do they make him a stand-up? He's not even. I don't think he's even a linebacker. No. It's just the 11 is the linebacker number. It's like what they did with the Patriots did with Matt Judon. So he's not. He might technically be the position of a linebacker, but
we all know he's an edge rusher.
In this defensive line, as we continue, like we don't even have to rush 4 anymore. We could rush 5, 6 guys. Like I think in the Carolina game, they rushed 3. They did a Dick LeBeau kind of zone blitz where they're only rushing 3, and they still got to the quarterback. So you could run. I think they all these things.
I mean, I think in my opinion, just watching the Jets last year, I think they could have ran like Winks. Not that Ulbrich is Wink, because Wink is in a different world of defensive coordinators, but I think like they could have ran blitzes that like they wanted to, but I just thought that they were playing too soft at times, and it didn't really make any sense. Going through a couple more comments here.
Sure.
As Luca gets up the tape, I would love to see Huff and McDonald on the line together, 2nd down and 15 long downs. What better way to take my mind off the Yankees than watching my favorite podcast on YouTube?
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
We're happy you guys are watching.
We could be your baseball getaway.
Yeah. With the spin move, if McDonald gets 27% of the snaps like Jermaine Johnson did last year, I see 3 to 6 sacks for the season.
That's somewhat fair expectation.
I think Jetson's Messier was talking about Akeem Ekwonu, if I'm not mistaken. He said, I would love AK right now.
Him last year. drafting.
The problem with IK is that there's too many flaws in pass protection, and he still really hasn't improved with that. But we'll see how he does in his second year. Luca and John, would y'all have been against going JMS in the first? Not at the spot they were at. You could not. I mean,
nah, I wouldn't have done it. I mean, I still think he's going to be a solid center.
Yeah,
but I wouldn't have done it at that high of a pick.
No, you don't go center that high. The Giants were in a good position. The Jets were in a good position to pick Joe Tippmann. See what else we got. Brees most likely starts the season on the PUP.
That's fair.
I mean, is he on the PUP right now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, you'd probably end up seeing, the first 6 games. And then that spot you could use for Bam Knight or Nick Bawden. And then when he comes off, you do that other stuff as well. I will touch on this with the Giants, so definitely stay tuned. And then also, what's the most weak spot on the Jets? I would say
offensive line.
Offensive line, probably, yeah.
So this is Bryce Huff putting Ika Makwanu in the spin cycle. Yes, I know this is going to be a bit of a quick throw, so you're like, how can you really see what Bryce Huff did? But look how he just backs up Makwanu. Right side. Put him in the spin cycle. I'm betting if Bryce Young does not see his first read, that's probably a safety or close to it. See that one more time. Yes, so we have that. I think we got another defensive line rep. This is Bruce Hector, obviously, he just signed with the Jets of recent. This was his first game. Actually came from the Eagles, and I believe Joe Douglas, picked him out, not in terms of draft, but an undrafted free agent. We're going to see him. I believe he's in the middle here.
Mm-hmm. This
69.
is a nice play.
Here we go. See that one. I want to see if they show a replay. If not, I'll just replay it one more time. Those number 69, Bruce Hector. They also signed the guy, the defensive player of the year from the, I want to say it was the USFL or the XFL. Here we're going to see the replay. 69 right here. You obviously got Marquise Spencer, Will McDonald.
I know that's like a backup offensive lineman, but that's a pretty good strength right there.
Yep. Caused some confusion, drops the ball. So another sack right there. I'm just going to pull up the next one.
Yeah. When you're done, you got a request from Jets on some mess about the cut block.
Is that? Oh,
I
got to find it, though. I understand where you're getting at, but I got to find it. Me and John will go through that.
That was...
I originally thought it was Greg Sinah who screwed up, but I looked at the replay. I'm like, oh, shit. This is Quentin Jefferson as X continues to be a dick. This always happens, John. I'm telling you. When I pull up shit like this, there's like when I have a bunch of bookmarks, whatever. I think this is for Tech. I don't know the Techs very well, but he's lined up against the right guard. Let's see how he gets the best of Bryce Young.
Nice.
That's Michael Jordan, the guard. Not the basketball player, but no, he sucks, man.
But good collapse here from the left side and through the middle, which allows Bryce Young to try to move around, and Jefferson gets right to him. C. Pressure coming from the left side and the right equally. And middle, good pressure up the middle from Solomon Thomas.
That was also a really good job of Jermaine Johnson wrapping his guy up to allow that extra space. Watch Johnson. I know he doesn't get the guy, but watch Johnson 11 on the edge.
And Jordan also thinks it's going to be a stunt.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a 4-man rush.
Yeah, I mean...
So good point out there by John. We're going to try to find the next defensive line one. Then I'll get to see if we can get to more comments.
This Job of the Hut.
Yeah, of course.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about the linebackers already. Zaire Barnes and Jamin Sherwood continue to impress. Obviously, John, your feelings have kind of softened up on the linebacker position.
I you know what? I have to say that I've been really impressed with Jamin Sherwood. I mean, his tackling ability. I didn't because of the limited snaps he got, I wasn't sold into the stock of him. But as I watched him more this year, I think he's really improved actually. I've seen he's been all over the field in coverage or just stopping the run. He's one of the first guys there always to stop the play. And also another guy that I know Lucas was mentioned, Zaire Barnes. I thought had a really good game as well. Obviously, he's more of a depth piece, but still, like, if they can play like this during the regular season to go with Mosley and Quincy Williams, I can live with that. I won't poo-poo it.
Also, if Chaz Surratt gets healthy enough, I think he's a good linebacker depth piece as well. He's started out
a fourth or a fifth option at linebacker.
Obviously. But I have to honor Mr. Jets Mess's request. And Sherwood's injury prone. He did have 2 injuries, but I think he's seen more playing time than what's his name, Hamza Nasruddin, who's been cut already and already on IR. We're going to honor Mr. Jets Mess's request, and this is.
And in addition to that, I also have 2 bad reps from Mekhi Becton, one in practice and one in the game. But I will honor you with the.
This is actually from our buddy Clutch B-Ball, who saw it through his TV. He was obviously watching the game. He obviously got the Carolina.
There's no other video clips on Twitter, unfortunately, so we do have to go by this. But you will see.
To be fair, it's like they kind of want to hide the bad ones. So I'm gonna try to point out as best as I can. If you see my mouse, left tackle right here, the big boy Becton. Here's the slot receiver. Here's the big boy, and we're gonna see him whiff on this block. If this is the correct one, I believe it is.
It is, yeah. I have a comparison after this.
God.
So, from Family Guy when Chris and Peter are at war?
Yeah.
And then Peter's got the little trap for Chris. At least I think this is the same episode. And he's got the hell, I don't know what the name of it is, but he's got the little thing that goes on your head like in a cartoon. And he puts $1 under it, and then Peter looks back and he goes, "Ooh, $1," and then it crashes on his head. I forget what it's called. It used to be using like cartoons and shit.
I know what you're
Anvil?
talking about.
The Anvil, yes.
No. The Anvil was a different episode.
Oh, okay. But yeah, there's also that. But yeah, that's all my God. Oh, and I got 2 more for you guys on relates to Becton. So here's this one.
This was again, to be fair, and again, I'm not justifying him. This was against Brian Burns, who's one of the best pass rushers and speediest in the NFL.
One time.
I mean, Jesus, he got frozen. I mean,
oh wait, the other one.
Again, this still continues that he does struggle against speed rushers, but he's going to have to get better if he wants that starting spot
at McDonald's. Hold on one second.
I think I know what you're pulling up.
Yep. I'm going to pull this one up. And yeah, this one's not very good.
This was, to be fair, this was a 50-50 split on Cologne and Becton.
Oh, it was like an Olay. Let him go right through.
You mind playing that again? Because it kind of sped up in the middle of it.
Okay. I'll share my screen again. Here we go. Okay.
Yeah, that can't happen. It's like they maybe ran a stun or they didn't, but that's obviously can't happen. He also there was like 3 or 4 mistakes in my opinion that he had, but more about the linebackers. We already talked about them. I'm going to share my screen. We're going to see some stuff from Zaire Barnes. I really like his IQ and his nose for the ball, John. We'll see it right here. All the way down. Here we go. We got Mr. Zaire Barnes, number 53. All right. Put it up there. Alex, you can share it. Number 53 right here. Watch how he sniffs the screen.
Yeah, that's just a intelligent football player right there. He waits for it to happen and then he reacts.
And again, the biggest problem I thought towards the end of the season last year was the Jets diagnosing screens. Even like the year prior, they still had a problem with that, and they've done well with it thus far with the young linebacker.
They had a problem with that. What was it against the Browns? But also on this play, which is an underrated thing. I don't know if you guys pointed it out. If the screen wasn't there, Bruce Hector would have absolutely demolished the quarterback.
Yep.
Yeah, I didn't even see that. You
can see right up the middle. The tackles
ran a nice stunt. Yeah,
the nose tackles run a stunt.
Mm-hmm.
So good job there by Hector trying to at least force the pressure. Next one, we got Barnes with his top line, sideline to sideline speed. And he commits a big hit on this one. I think he forces the incompletion.
Mm-hmm.
We go at the top. He was known for that in college, the big hits, obviously coming out of a small school.
Mm-hmm.
Last time, covering the running back at the backfield. He's also had some nice coverage moments, I think, in training camp. So that's at least a positive because the Jets, in the past have had trouble with guys who could cover tight ends and running backs out of the backfield, even last year towards the end of the season. So obviously that's a note to make. We already also another thing which I brought up earlier, the defensive back depth when it comes to corners, Brandon Echols and Jimmy Moreland did further affirm the Jets' strong depth at corner. Moreland recorded a game-ending interception. Essentially, John, where do you think? Obviously, Brandon Echols is suspended for Week 1, dating back to his, I think, traffic incident, whatever it was. Where does this leave Bryce Hall? Because you think about it, you've got Sauce Gardner, DJ Reed, Michael Carter. That's your three starting lockdown corners. Then you have Justin Hardy, special team specialist. Brandon Echols, number 5, and number 6 would technically be Bryce Hall or Jimmy Moreland. Obviously, Hall is hurt right now. Where do you think this leaves him on the roster?
Here, let's demonstrate. Did we get the picture?
Yes, he's going to get cut. I questioned at the beginning of the game. I said, why is Bryce Hall not playing? He's playing for a roster spot, but I found out later he's hurt. So that's how it is right now.
He's always hurt though. So I mean,
that even with college, like he entered his rookie season hurt.
I think
he showed some progress. 2021, he was solid. 2022, he just had a major downfall of that proportions. But
I'm done with the experiment from him. In my opinion, I am.
Some other news: Ashton Davis and Trey Dean continue to battle for the backup safety spot. Dean played 60% of the snaps on Saturday. Ashton Davis around 48%. I'd say both have had solid camps at least, but Davis has made a few drops in easy drills. But Trey Dean's making obviously a case for the roster.
I think Trey Dean has been pretty good in coverage based on what I've read in training camp and all the reports out there. But I think Ashton Davis can go in the same boat as Bryce Hall. I'm done with the experiment. I don't want. Yeah, here.
You guys can thank us for that, by the way. That's via the Leonard Williams trade.
But listen, we got Michael Carter out of that trade, as in the Michael Carter, the nickel corner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no. I obviously Michael Carter, the corner is fine, where he is. But I'm done with the Ashton Davis and Bryce Hall experiment. I don't think they're ever going to make a impact with this team, and it's time to cut ties. There's younger guys that have shown a little more promise, like the Jimmy Morelands, in my opinion. I like Trey Dean. I think he could be some good depth. And you know what? Especially with Tony Adams rising on the depth chart, who again did not play.
That's odd to me that he did not play.
I agree. I want him to play. I want to see. I mean, if they feel so, I'm glad they have the confidence in him.
Right.
But I want to see what he can do. It's not like he was a 1 last year.
Right.
So I want to see what this guy can bring.
Jacobs says, "Did you all resign Solomon Thomas?" Yes, we did in March, I believe. A buddy of mine, David Hupton, who writes for Jets Way Substack, he says Moreland had a nice game last week, and he continued that form last night. Obviously, this was written on Sunday. He's flown under the radar so far. He allowed an NFL passer rating of 28.6 when quarterbacks threw into his coverage. He had a pass breakup, an interception, and surrendered just 31 yards on 7 targets. To do the math, that's about 4 yards per target. I haven't really thought about Moreland a lot, but he's making it impossible to ignore at the moment. I think he's been on the roster since the end of last year, in my opinion. Or at least
wasn't he on the practice squad last year, if I'm not mistaken?
He could have been, honestly, but he's starting to impress, obviously. A former Washington Commander, Redskin, whatever you call it. He's been there since 2022. Yeah, he was he was on the practice squad since September of 2022, actually.
Yeah, I remember him on the practice squad, yeah.
So he's continuing to look good, as we say. Special teams, John, you said this to me through text. Thank God we don't have to worry about shank putts. The first Morstead made all game was like, wow, it was all the way back to the 10-yard line. And we had a punt. I think it was at like the second Carolina drive.
Yeah.
Orsted had a punt all the way down to the Carolina 2.
I think it was a 56-yard bomb that he kicked. And I'm like, holy crap, that was a pretty good one. And then, him punting and Greg Zuerlein, I can be so – thank the Lord I can be relieved. I don't have to worry about blunders and, guys screwing up. Like, these guys can – yeah, my God. How many times do we see Braden Mann shank a punt? It was like every 10 punts, he'd have like 2 shanks. And it was like, Jesus.
Well,
and then
Sean gets to deal with him. He's a Steeler.
But I got to make fun of him for that. But anyway, Zuerlein's been excellent as a kicker too. He's drilling 40, 50-yard field goals left and right. I'm like, you know what? I don't have to worry. It's an automatic 3 points, an extra point if we get this guy, or if he plays like this all year. So
yeah,
again.
He was very efficient
last year, too. Yeah, solid last year. He was 30-37. Like, I'm fine with those numbers.
Let's watch the punt. We really do special teams highlights, but we're salivating over this because we haven't had a punter in so long. All the way back. Bounce, 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 bounce to the 2. And this drive, I believe, was stalled for a 3 and out. Mm-hmm. And that's what, remember, we showed the Bryce Huff getting after Aquanu. That was, I think, a part of that same sequence in that same.
Remember Braden? We had a loss. Well, I wouldn't say that's all Braden Mann, but remember the Jets-Pats game in New England,
the Lions game as well. The first score for the Lions was a shank punt, and the guy, I think wasn't Agnew. It had to be somebody else. I think it was Khalif Raymond, the former Jet, returned it for a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
I was so pissed. But to get to more of that, are the shades of old Michael Carter returning? We're going to go back to the running back room. Izzy Abanikanda continues to thrive. A little stat line for both. Michael Carter, 4 rushes in 19 yards, 2 receptions and 34 yards. Izzy Abanikanda had a little more to his game, 12 rushes for 56 yards. On the math, that is about 4 plus yards per carry, 3 receptions and 31 yards. I'm going to pull them up in a sec, but John, what did you think of Michael Carter and Izzy Abanikanda Saturday?
I actually thought that Izzy was the better running back yesterday, in my opinion, based on some of the runs. I did go back and watch both of their highlights and pretty much all their runs. And I really liked the run that Izzy had to the 1-yard line that they thought was a touchdown, but that was a really nice spin move that he had. And I thought Carter actually did a good job in the passing game. They schemed him open a few times. I think it was like 2 or 3 times where he had a reception. But it was good to see Carter, being a fighter for extra yards. That's something that I always thought that was positive of him. He lost a little bit of that last year, but it was good to see him go north-south like he should be doing.
Of course. So this is a little bit of Michael Carter and Izzy Abanikanda's stuff when it comes to highlights from Saturday afternoon. Here we go. Michael Carter, stutter step, slide. I think this was his first carry of the game, actually. Watch that again. Gets through the hole. Makes a miss. And that's the old Michael Carter when it comes to his rookie season. You didn't really see that a lot last year with the groove, which makes me think that he was playing with an injury last year.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go. Here's a run by Carter to the left side. Bouncing through. It's going to be about 3rd and short. Here we go. This is the long play. Carter out in the flat. Big gainer. I would say it was a 25-yard gain on this one, but just running freely. It was a good check down option on Saturday. I got to say that. Here we go. We got this play. This was obviously a replay.
Yeah, that was a good job of getting him open in space.
All right,
but I'd also, we'll talk about Zach Wilson in a little bit, obviously. But
right. Just going to remark on a comment from Justice Smith. He goes,
sure.
If the Jets take a fullback, that's bad news for the young running backs. They will be cut.
Well, we are going to keep a fullback on the roster.
Yeah, I believe so.
Damn night.
So here we go. We got Michael Carter. This is a check down. Not willing to go down without a fight. Gets about 8 or 9. We got Izzy in the backfield. Screen pass. Gets behind the blocker. Down the left sideline and about to the 45-yard line. You got to see a little bit more of him in the passing game. It wasn't so much last week, but it's more this week, a little more of the screen game. The Jets made things simple offensively. And they took what the defense gave him. Here's Wilson, gives off to Abanikanda. Now, not much, but he's going to muster through the defender, which you appreciate. 2nd and 1, Abanikanda breaks one tackle and gets through the hole for about 5 yards. This one, another screenplay. Good block by Tippmann. Out in front. Gets the first down of the game, about 12. Here's the spin. Ooh. I thought it was a touchdown at first, but then I looked at the replay. I'm like, damn, he's short. But you know what? Let's go back to that spin. Up the middle, good blocking by the interior. Spin move.
That's Jimmy Robinson, by the way, who he spun.
I was a fan of Robinson, too. Spin move. I don't think the Jets had a rushing touchdown yesterday, but that's regardless of how good the ground game was. Touchdown, obviously, but it was reversed. Got a few more seconds in this, and then we'll obviously get back. Spin move. So really like what I saw from the ground game yesterday. I'm sure John did as well. If you want to offer any thoughts.
I think that also has to do with the offensive line doing really good in the run game. I thought Tippmann had a really solid game overall. I also thought McGovern did good in the snaps that he played, and
he did have I hate to interrupt you, John, but he did have a crippling penalty. That was the
one thing where it's like, oh God, why'd you do that? But Schweitzer also played very well, in my opinion, in the run game.
Yeah, 110%. Going through some more things. Now we got to talk about the quarterback, Zach Wilson. Last Saturday, 14 to 20, 123 yards, 6.2 yards per pass, 102.7 rating with a touchdown pass. John, what were your thoughts? And keep in mind, as you said, this was behind 2s and 3s.
Mm-hmm. I thought he had a good performance in this game. Like, I don't think he played bad at all, but I'm not ready to go celebrate. And I see Jets Twitter, some people saying, oh, yeah, he's ready to be the backup. I'm not so comfortable with that idea. Again, some of the things I thought he did well, I thought for the most part, I only saw like 1 or 2 plays where he had a bad easy throw. I remember one play he pump faked. I think it was to Uzama, if I'm not mistaken, or I can't remember who his intended target was. But
are you talking about the sidearm pass?
Yeah.
That was Tyler Conklin.
Conklin.
Yeah.
And he had like a sidearm pass that went.
So was that? Right?
Yeah, you're right. When you're right, you're right. But anyway, I thought he did a good job for the most part of, making the right read, and he was more comfortable in the pocket. You could tell.
Yeah.
But again, this is against 2s and 3s of a team that doesn't really have a whole lot of depth. Not that they have bad players on defense, but their depth is where they lack. And I'm not, gonna go celebrate yet. Like I still think we should sign a backup quarterback. Now I know Teddy Bridgewater is off the board now.
Carson Wentz.
Carson Wentz is probably the best option. I would get him in the room because, my God, does what's his face? Tim Boyle suck.
I watched him in practice. He was so bad.
He's so bad. But anyway, I was pleased to see Wilson make the right reads, and he looked comfortable at least. But I'm not ready to go proclaim that he's ready to be a backup.
I got to stay with. Go ahead, Alex, please.
I looked at a couple. I didn't watch the whole game, but I saw a couple of plays. I saw that sidearm pass. Is like that's exactly.
He didn't need to do that.
That's exactly dude, throw it away. And I know it's one pass. So you throw it away, or you go out there and you escape the pocket and you try.
But he did do that for the majority of this game that he was in, I'd say.
No, yeah, of course. It's just I'm not. I'm gonna go look at Lucas' stats that he put in the document right here about Zach Wilson. 6.2 yards per attempt. Am I correct on that?
Yeah.
Or yards per completion. I mean, that's not necessarily great. And then 123 yards. I mean, on 20 pass. Again, I just think that Jets Twitter, from what I've seen, because I do follow Jet fans, is overrating him. And, now
Right.
that's like, now that some people are just putting out the narrative, they could keep Zach. I've never been, even before preseason, as an outsider, just like, yeah, they're going to keep Zach Wilson after Aaron Rodgers. First of all, who cares? You want to win a championship, and then you worry about the future. That's number one. But it's just like to have this still, it's like, I don't know. How do I put this? And I'm going to put this as lightly as possible. It's like trying to be friends with your ex-girlfriend and then just like thinking you're going to get back together and it's going to be like it was before. Like, I'm trying to not put it that way, but it kind of
you already did, so
it essentially tell me I'm wrong. Like, honestly, like with some of these fans, tell me I'm wrong.
I get both your points, and I completely agree. Like, he made the best of what the defense gave him. He was
and it is that he's playing against twos, and it's the preseason, so they're throwing out simple vanilla offenses to test the guys around him.
That's what my point is. It was simple. It was quick reads. Obviously the pass to Carter, obviously a big long gain. It was a quick read, look left, throw. Solid in his progressions, but I like to see when things get complicated what he's able to do, what he's able to process. I think that's the biggest jump for him.
I think one of the other things as well is I think they need to play him with the starters this week against the Bucs, not in the game, but in joint practices. Because if the playbook is more exposed there and whatnot, you'll see what the real Zach Wilson is. Now, will the media try to cover it up? I don't know. You guys know the media more than I do over there, but I think that's going to be one of the biggest tests.
I don't think I gotta agree with you both. I don't think he made any significant progress. He was solid. I thought his mental capabilities were fine. He wasn't over confused or just general confused, but it wasn't like, oh my God, wow, he's giving us too much. He's giving us assurance that, he could be the backup. I think again, things need to get more complicated, in my opinion, and I need to see him with the full playbook in his hand. Because to me, right now, he's not the backup quarterback, and he should. And
you can't even properly test that, to be completely fair too, unless you're in a Week 18 game. But the problem is, there's like so many pinpoints you could literally spot against that, because you're not going to sit here, and this is not a rebuilding season as for the Jets, as we all know. Is you're not going to put him in there and say, okay, let's see what he's got. No, you are ready to win this season. You could give a flying crap about what Zach Wilson looks like. You have to get a backup quarterback in. I mean, as you guys have said, Tim Boyle sucks. And then Carson Wentz is a better quarterback than Zach Wilson. So you can't, I don't know. I just think it's like dreamland for this whole Zach Wilson experience. I think the problem, this is my personal opinion again, that they kept him on the roster. I know it's a whole money thing, but I think keeping him on the roster just like kind of creates a false set of circumstances and narcissism within the fan base and sometimes the coaching staff.
You mean a false sense of security?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's just like a false sense of hope. Like, okay, like you didn't just draft DTR. You didn't just draft Malik Cunningham. You have had Zach Wilson, who was a former first-round pick. I mean, even keeping him, and this is just my personal opinion. Even a former first-round pick staying on your roster as a backup still leaves that stain.
It does. Obviously, he's right now labeled a bust. And, there are people who have the hope that he can turn this around once everything is all done with Aaron Rodgers. But, again, right now, we're in the moment. Aaron Rodgers is our starting quarterback. Zach Wilson is our number 2 quarterback as of right now. Let's see if he really, can – earn the backup spot so we don't have to go sign Carson Wentz. Let things get more complicated because, again, he looks solid, efficient, whatever you want to call it, whatever term you want to describe his performance. But, again, look at the circumstances. What was he working with? What did the defense give him? What was the offensive coordinator calling? It was
a lot of those, a lot of those are swing passes.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
And Zach, listen, the one throw that he, obviously was magnified on was the deep pass to Malik Taylor last week.
Other than that, what? And again, you're not going to get too many highlight plays because who knows what the Jets playbook is going to be. But what other highlight plays has he created?
Nothing yet. Nothing.
Exactly. So you have really no reason to justify him as,
backup.
A
Of course,
super
I
backup.
completely agree. Like, what is he like? We've seen the Jets roll him out like a few times this preseason. Like, play action. What if there's pressure coming at him? Like all these different things. Again, let the
And even
playbook
putting him against better competition in terms of like bringing another quarterback in like Carson Wentz. Like if you match those two guys up, let's just say the final preseason game happens to be, of course, against the Giants.
Of
And the
course.
Giants, I think, will throw out starters for that game. They might not. I expect them to throw out starters against the Panthers, but in a way, they didn't play starters week 1 versus the Lions because of the joint practices. Now you kind of flipped that last year where the first game they did throw out the starters versus the Pats because they had no joint practices. But fuck the Giants in this standpoint.
Yeah,
you
fuck
put
the Giants.
you have okay, bud. You throw me off. What's going on, Barbara? But like you sit there now. I don't think the Jets have any other quarterbacks that I'm like totally throwing off the table here.
No.
I think with the proper set of circumstances for Robert Saleh and all these other different cats in the offensive staff room go, is that you get Carson Wentz in here. You don't want to play Aaron Rodgers, that's fine. Split halves. Carson Wentz one half, Zach Wilson the other half. Or you could do it where maybe Zach Wilson faces the ones, Carson Wentz faces the twos or something like that, because there's not going to be a game, I think, coming up where the starter's going to play 100% of the game. That never happens.
Yeah,
that never happens. Jets just mess seconds in Ocean, so he agrees with us. And again, just like I have to give credit to Justice Smith every single time we talk about this. He was a guy that said Zach Wilson was not ready.
Again, it's the more of the between the ears aspect. He has the arm strength and the mobility and all that shit. It's about what's he understanding, what's he processing, can he read a fucking defense? So I think overall as a panel, we can say look solid on Saturday. Still not ready to say he's the backup quarterback, and we need to see things when they get complicated. So now we go to our final, I'd say, area of our recap. And that does begin with the most questionable position or position group, in that being the offensive line. So, Joe Tippmann, John, what were your thoughts? I sent you the link to, obviously, you probably watched already, the Jets Talk 24/7. He posted every snap of Tippmann's that far in the game against the Panthers. What do you have to say?
I want him playing with the ones. I really do. Like, I was very impressed with him. His pass blocking is really good. And I, as the group, I thought they did better in the run game, but Tippmann's got really good strength. And he's like a brick. I know it's like cliche, but he really is a brick wall to some of these pass rushers. Now, again, he hasn't faced like anyone that's like significant of competition, I would say, but he's only going to get better, you assume. And he's fighting to work his way up the depth chart. So I personally, I would like to see him with the ones. I don't know if that's the plan, but Luke has got some of the highlights here.
I do want to quickly make a couple of statements regarding the chat. We were just talking about the Jets bringing in another quarterback like Carson
theoretically,
free agent. Theoretically, what the situation would be. Zach has the worst mechanics ever. Fuck the Jets and the Giants. That's
okay, Brad.
Hayes, what's up?
What's up, man?
We'll be. I think Hayes' neighborhood is where we'll be next Monday. By the way, we won't have a show next Monday. We'll be in Atlantic City, but just wanted to make that known. But yeah, I think we'll be in his neighborhood. But continue, Luca.
Let me just say this about Tippmann. I hope he gets there's something in me. Like, I've always wanted Tippmann to start from the get-go. Now, there's a chance that he does. There's a chance that he doesn't. They've seen McGovern with the first team, and that's all fine and well. You signed to a minimum contract. You trusted him for 3 years. That's fine. All well, blah, 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 blah. There's something in me that still wants Tippmann to start. Is it likely? Probably not. But the one thing is with Tippmann, I have not seen him at all get overmatched this preseason. No. I know it's limited snaps, but I still have not seen him get overmatched where he's completely overblown. Obviously, he has to play with the ones, and I think he should. He should get that fair shot. I understand, he still has to develop, all these different things, but I think he is due for a fair shot because, listen, Connor Hughes and everybody tweeted, Joe Tippmann's not going to start this year. I'm like, yeah, bullshit. Let's see what training camp does. Let's see what preseason does. And I'm like, you know what? This kid's got something.
Let me ask you a question. Has
he
played at camp or even better yet in the preseason games? Has he played at any other spot than center?
No.
Because I proposed this before, whether you could put Tippmann at center,
McGovern played guard before.
McGovern at guard or something like that, so you can move ABT to right tackle. But obviously, that's not really the situation.
Yeah, that's what I said in the opening when we're talking about the offensive line. Move McGovern to guard, let Tippmann start.
So I just overall feel that in general, he should at least have a fair shot to win the starting job. It should not be all McGovern's because McGovern is middle of the road. The ceiling is much higher with Tippmann, if you guys agree with me. So we're going to see – I know it's a screen pass. It's something simple like that, but we're going to see Tippmann do his work. Number 66, the center. Takes them out of the play entirely.
He's 66,
he was good with that. He was pretty good with that in college, too, if you remember.
Flips the hips well.
Completely takes him out of the play, which is the most interesting aspect. But again, I just don't feel like why. I hope he severely gets with the ones this week. I severely hope he has reps with the ones.
Did they have an off day today?
Tomorrow, yes, today's their off day. Tomorrow is their practice day.
Yeah,
and then it's the joint practices, and then it's
the Bucks. Yeah,
obviously. So I'm gonna try to see if I can find one more thing of Tippmann.
While you do that, I'll get to the rest of the comments. By the way, we're 3 likes away from 20, so we've had a great chat tonight in terms of football. It just says that everybody's tired of the Yankees and the Mets. My opinion, it could be different, but football is
no, you're spot on.
I think the Giants need a better backup than Tyrod. I mean, Tyrod didn't look good on Friday, but I mean it was limited snaps, so not that I would want Tommy DeVito over him. Rodgers will be one making a call on the center. Yeah, no, that's definitely it. He probably wants a proven guy there, or he could do the Josh Myers treatment. And then also, although I love the Giants all my heart, I do not hate the Jets. They've improved a lot with Cook. I mean, I don't hate. Listen, I fuck around on here. I fuck around on here with Luca and John just to bust chops, but I don't hate the Jets. I don't.
All right, so I just want to pull up this. This is from the Izzy run where he spun around, but I want you guys to zero in on Tippmann. I know it's kind of hard, but again, he's the one giving the snap up. Tippmann at center. Finds the hole. Here we go. Watch Tippmann. He is on, I think this is 57. I want to see. He takes on the linebacker. Second level. Hole is there. Also good. Go ahead.
I was gonna say he makes them like utter useless on the play. Like Abaconda, but like he had a good like 4 or 5 steps before he was even reached at.
Right. Spin move. All right, let me see if there's anything else here. But again, I still think Joe Tippmann deserves a fair shot to start. Now, John, any final thoughts on Tippmann?
No, I want to see. I am praying tomorrow that I see the tweet from me, whether it's Hughes or Samini or Rosenblatt, that's saying like Tippmann's going to start with the ones or get his shot.
So now we get into the most controversial offensive lineman.
Can I just because I know this is going to be a big topic, I do want to do 2 things real quick.
Yeah, of course.
I know we'll have a couple of different things to talk about here. I'll answer your question in a little bit about DJ, Jacob. Bill says, sorry, you've been installing SQL server and stuff still working. Thanks for giving me something to watch while doing. Hey, listen, no problem. If you're cooking dinner or listen, you're watching us, that's good enough.
You just say thank you.
Tony, I appreciate you coming in, man. Definitely.
Tony.
I appreciate you coming in. So, again, best of luck to Deshaun, and I hope to see you in here a little bit more, of course. I don't think Izzy Abaconda.
No, I don't think he's gonna. I think he's gonna make the roster. I mean, I'd be shocked if he did it.
I'm glad football is back and you get to watch my favorite YouTube channel, and let's get this channel for 20 likes. Yeah, listen, 20 likes on the stream. We got a couple more likes. I think somebody not somebody disliked, but somebody unliked. So whether it's 16 or 17 right now, but let's hit the like button. What's the battle? McGovern versus Titman. I mean, it looks to be that right now, but McGovern.
I mean, the thing is, like, Schweitzer's now switched to guard.
Mm-hmm.
So that's got to tell you something about whether it's McGovern or Titman. So
that would technically put Schweitzer out of a starting job, right?
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
Mm-hmm. He's a good swing guard for depth purposes, but not just in general.
No, nobody thought he would be a starter. No.
NY News TV had 19K subs. Too bad Alexa and Luker got sacked from there. We did
Very funny,
listen. We didn't get sacked, but Jets were impressive the other day. Just improved the O-line a bit. How many running backs are they going to have? I say 3 and a fullback for the Jets. That's my opinion.
I say 4 in my opinion. You think about it, Izzy, Dalvin, Brees, and Michael Carter. Like, I have a funny feeling he might just stick on the roster, Michael Carter. I know, obviously there was Michael Carter not happy or whatever.
I think they're going to go with 4 running backs.
4 running backs and a fullback. That sounds about right.
Yeah.
In my opinion, at least. So, let's see. We're going to pull up Mekhi Becton. Now, Joe Blue points this out. Very good analyst himself. Obviously, check him out at Jet X Factor. Credit to Jet X Factor for this clip. Good job from Becton popping up the play side shoulder of the 4-eye and climbing to get to the linebacker. Cologne also takes over the block and gets vertical. Here you go, left side. Basically takes away the defender, leaves that open hole for Robin Akanda. Again, Cologne is also good in this as well.
He hit 2 defenders on that play, Luka. I don't know if you saw, but watch the linebacker. Yep, he got completely taken out.
One more time. Again, Titman's also a good part of this as well. He takes away, for the most part, number 55 in the middle of the line. But good block by Becton there. John, since you're the most critical of him, what did you see in those snaps?
I thought he was shocker, because I've been saying about him pretty much his whole career. I thought he was really good in the run game, but like the pass protection really like concerns me, especially if it's, going against 2s and 3s. And I know, me and Luca in our private text, we were talking about it, I think the next day, if I'm not mistaken, or that next morning. And I said, I watched the snaps, we had about like 3 or 4 mistakes that I counted. I think Luca counted less at first, but then he like admitted and said it was about 3 or 4. And, it concerns me, because if he's struggling against these guys, again, about the comfortability factor, well, what is he going to do again? Like when we saw in that like little, the practice against Brian Burns, like, what is he going to do? Like, are we just going to, hide him? No, we can't hide him. So,
I mean, you could scheme around it by throwing a tight end as a chip blocker.
I mean, you
but
can,
do that all the time.
But like teams are going to figure out ways to expose that. It's not like we have a very strong offensive line to begin with, but I really am concerned if he can't get pass protection down against speed rushers.
Mm-hmm.
Especially in our division, like the Bills have so many guys they could throw at us.
Von Miller, we got Pats of Matt Judon.
Yeah, Judon, the leading sack leader from last year. The Dolphins got now Bradley Chubb. So again, it really is concerning the way he played, in my opinion.
For the run game, that's always been his strong suit.
When he's out running in front on a screen pass, or like it's a kind of like a jet sweep or a run off tackle. Oh wow!
We got a super chat in the building from our guy,
you.
Jets Mess.
Thank you. Not necessarily, but thank you. Thank you, Jets Mess.
Killer show tonight, boys. And also we got a couple other comments to get to too. But again, once again, thank you. Not just the $20, but you're paying the subscription for the monthly membership. So we appreciate that, man.
And by the way, Jets Mess, if you haven't seen it, the first positional ranking for baseball is out there. So if you do want a bonus video, you do have it. So thank you again for the $20.
Also, I do want to go over a few more things before we go over Blob Becton and Jetson's message. Word, Alex looks like
a catcher.
A catcher with the arm sleeve. Yeah, I just decided to wear it today. And you know what? It's the color.
That's mine, by the way. That's not yours.
He didn't make my top 5 rankings, by the way.
Damn it. Shit. More feeble knowledge isn't
warranted. My
warranted.
knowledge isn't warranted. Wow, that's pretty mean.
To be safe, so we don't have to dress all 4 every week. ABT, a guard or a tackle? He is both.
Mainly a guard, could play tackle, though, at a very good level. Let's see. What was I going to get to? John, did you finish your point about Becton?
I think I did. I don't remember exactly the last thing I said.
But yeah, in terms of, run game, he's going to demolish you in the screen game, as John mentioned. Pass game, I thought he was solid. He wasn't good. Obviously, he had the 3 hiccups, or I should say the 2 hiccups, obviously with the miscommunication on the stunt and the flop, which he just dove into air. But
we got a timeout for a second. Bill has become a member of the channel.
Oh yeah,
there we go.
Awesome stuff, Bill. Ladies and gentlemen.
All right, Bill.
Ladies
Good
and
job,
gentlemen. By the way, I'm sorry to cut in a little bit here, but I do want to put some things out there. More members we get, the more we could do giveaways, the more we could do members only live streams. There's a lot of stuff we can do, but he goes, I've been here enough recently. May as well put some money where my entertainment is. Well, we appreciate that.
You,
again, and even listen, look, even if you're not a member, even if you don't super chat us, we appreciate you for tuning in because again, we're so many little subscribers away from 1.5K and we're moving this train along here. So, John is a Jets fan. John is a Jets fan. So there's that. But yeah, and also just wanted to shout this out real quick. Before I asked John for something, and I think I know what he knows what I'm gonna ask him. Just again, we are sponsored by SeatGeek. If you guys are going to a Giants game, a Jets game, a Yankees game for some odd reason, a Mets game, whatever, concert, you need parking passes for MetLife. You can now get $20 off your entire ticket order with the promo code Big Blue in the Bronx. Of course, that is the channel name. And why did you? I'm not at the fucking. Stop that! What a how did you even do that?
I did it while you were doing the promo.
How? Fight night.
You know what? Yeah, you know what?
Oh.
I say I'm back to enter the ring.
Oh.
But anyways, I wanted to continue on Becton. Obviously, he had those 2, 3, 4 hiccups, I would say. But again, that's going to come with, I should say, more reps. My question to me, John, and Tyson, our good buddy from Let's Talk Jets Radio, was kind of upset with Robert Saleh on this. Why didn't Becton start the game? Why would Billy Turner start the game?
I agree that Becton should get the. I feel like they should have got more equal amount of reps.
Right.
I should say, just because neither guy is really like proven to be the starter. So I would have gave him like maybe one guy it's 1 or 2 series, and then I don't remember how many series the first team got. If I'm being, was it 3 or 4?
It was
was it, or was it 2 or 3? I don't remember how many. I'm thinking it was 3, if I'm not mistaken.
Could be.
I could be wrong on that. Someone can go fact check me on that. But I feel that Turner's not proven. Becton is definitely not proven with his injury history and his overweight.
It's a spot to win, though, in my opinion.
It is a spot to win, but you got to give everyone. It's not a situation with Tippmann, just because you just drafted Tippmann and you have more hope for him. And I know Becton was a first-round pick, but he hasn't played in 2 years, so it's kind of like a reclamation project at this point. So, and Turner's a veteran. Carter Warren and Mitchell are swing tackles who are more developmental guys. Although I'd say Mitchell's got less to prove, and although he's coming back from a blood clot. So
yeah, that's tough.
Again, that's hard on itself as well. So I do understand the point they're making, but I kind of want to see who plays the best at that spot at this point.
I mean, obviously it's questionable that I even say this. Maybe throw Mitchell at left tackle and Becton at right tackle to start the game. I'm not obviously playing the revisionist history game, but it's just you kind of know what Turner is. Turner's just a veteran at this point. I know he's been,
Do you
first
think he's
team.
only there because of Aaron Rodgers? Didn't he play with him in Green Bay?
He played with Hackett too.
He's a Hackett guy.
Yeah, but my question is, like, what do they see in him that's possibly good? I know Zach Rosenblatt said, he could be the starter week 1. He's the favorite, but obviously that's weeks away from now. We don't know what's going to happen, but I just hope that Becton, continues to get more of the reps. Obviously this week, left tackle, mostly right tackle, because that's what needs to be done.
Right.
So,
I agree. But if they're, like you said earlier, if they're not even playing him at right tackle,
that's the scary part. That's the worrying part.
Which is mind-boggling to me. I mean, and again, I know Brown's been hurt and he hasn't played, but I mean,
you're not going to shift 38-year-old Brown to right tackle,
right? No, you're not going to do that. So
banking on him is silly, in my opinion.
Yeah. So I thought I'd bring this up. I actually had more Joe Tippmann film. This is, again, courtesy credit to Jet X Factor for carving this up. This is some Joe Tippmann film from the Panthers game. Again, number 66. I think this is his pass sets, I believe.
Yeah, look at him. Not even. Yep, there's good. Wins another one-on-one battle there.
By the way, I just want to say real quick on that. I think that was Zach Kuntz who called the touchdown. Very good job by, I think it was Nate. I should say Hackett. Scheming Zach Kuntz open on that play because they completely confused the defenders in the middle.
Yeah, they did. Yep.
Here you go, Tippmann again. Took a multitude of assignments on that one.
Knocked the defender down. Yep, and then wraps up another guy.
Tippmann.
That might have been his best one there, because that was a recovery one. Not his fault though. That wasn't even his fault. Well, watch this. Boom.
It's because again, Becton lunged.
Yeah, Becton got beat bad, and then Tippmann just shoved the interior pass rusher or the interior line.
This one's also very impressive. Watch the screen.
Good job.
Here we go. Creating the hole at least.
That was a good chip block.
Getting to the second level.
Here we go again. A few more seconds. Screenplay eliminates the defender. Good block. You see, I believe it was Die. Watch the cutback because of the block.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I go left. The blocker goes left. I'm going to go right now.
Yeah, that was actually a good play by Die there.
It was, but I just want to say, like, this guy should at least get first reps again this week. But I want to touch on one more thing. I know we've been doing Jets for a while, but what did you think from what you saw of Zach Kuntz and Jeremy Ruckert?
I really am been a lot higher on Ruckert. I not to say that Kuntz played, but I didn't play good. But I like Ruckert, his ability to get open. I think that's very, like, not a lot of tight ends create a whole lot of separation, but Ruckert's actually a kind of a fast guy out there. So again, I hope I kind of in the same boat where I want to see him get more reps. I know it's a little harder because I do like Conklin, especially in the red zone, and I know Uzomah's a good blocker, but I do want to see him get even more reps with the ones particular, just to see what he can do with Aaron Rodgers.
John, any final thoughts on the Jets you'd like to add before we move into Giants? But I think Alex wants to ask you to do something between the Giants.
Hold up. I do. Before we get into that, I do want to answer Booyah's question. It's a good question. What rookies will have a breakout year on the Jets this year?
Ooh.
I really am most hopeful for Tippmann, I'd say. I'd say he's got the best shot to have the best rookie season. Maybe even... I'm trying to think. Does Ruckert count as a rookie? Would you? Or no, he does.
He played a few games. Maybe
he did. Yeah, never mind.
So wouldn't count.
Dummy.
Because
It's because he barely got used, Alex.
He barely played. Yeah. All right. Fair enough. All right. I'd say Pittman.
Schmuck LaFleur.
Chris is not the offensive coordinator, not me, but go ahead.
But,
is that it?
Your impact rookies, John, are Tippmann, and that's it.
Yeah, I'd say Tippmann's got the best shot to have the best
I'd
year.
say Tippmann and McDonald. In limited reps, I may add for McDonald.
Mm-hmm.
But, Alex, you want to get some comments, and then we could do the I should say a segment. It's going to be a quick thing.
Do you know what I'm referring to or not?
Yes, I know what you're referring to. Barbara says, what was that buzzer? You ever watch Family Feud when they get the answer wrong?
And they get the answer wrong, and it's a Family Feud strike. But there's also, John, the Yankees lost tonight.
Oh, they did.
By the way, just want to say one thing. It seems on Twitter, somebody tweeted this, and I believe them. Rizzo, Judge, and Stan were all laughing in the dugout down fucking 9.
You know what? It's time for a few sound bites. But, John, if you want to go ahead.
Duh! Yankees lose!
This isn't me right now. Like, I'm not in this mode, but other Yankee fans.
I'm gonna kill myself! I'm going to kill myself, and it's your fault!
See, that normally would be me, but it's not. Also, we got this.
By the way, 11-3 was the final score.
We're really close to turning the corner.
But it's also...
It's not what you want.
It's not what you want.
See, back-to-back managers like that. Yeah, we did 2 grids earlier in the stream. Let's see. Yeah, Boone and Cashman need to go. Yeah.
We got guys, we got the shirts.
Yes, we've had a ton of sales on them. So if you want to express your displeasure with the front office, we got Fire Cashman shirts and Fire Boone shirts, and we also got Sell the Team shirts. So
Fire shirts, guys.
Yes, I don't feel bad that the Yankees lost. Nothing will change. Yeah, nothing's going to change.
He said he feels bad that nothing will change. They lost.
Oh, okay. I misread it. My apologies, Armin. But no, man. I mean, just like. I'm going to ask a question if we have time at the end of the Giants segment, just about the Yankees, and maybe this involves the Mets too or whatever, but what do I know? It's just like, it gets repetitive. It gets repetitive. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say that other people can't talk the Yankees or you can't ask quite Yankee questions. Look, if you got Yankee questions, throw them our way. If you got any questions, throw them our way. But it's just like the way, literally, Luca remembers this. Literally, Luca... Every time the Yankees won, what did we come on here and do 2 years ago with Sean? What did we do? If they won, what would we do? We would complain about them still, wouldn't we?
Yeah, to a certain point.
Because we knew the operation would not succeed. But and also during Giants Relatants, because that's our next topic. When Mike Glennon and Jake Fromm started the last 7 games for the New York Giants in 2021. I stopped talking about the Giants on this show because I'm like, what is the point? Like, seriously, what is the point? Either something's going to change and we wait till next year, or something doesn't change and I just keep, like, blackballing the topic till something actually changes.
What's up, 2 giant goofballs?
2 giant goofballs. If you guys haven't already, please go subscribe to them. They do a good job over there. Drew's a funny guy. And, of course, he's got the co-host, Rob, I believe. We blasted Hicks every night. Yeah, but now he's on the Orioles, so that's a whole different story. Eat Taco Bell and White Castle.
Oh God, here we go again.
Fast food. I've stayed away from both. I can't remember the last time I actually had Taco Bell. Probably about 2 years. Joe Judge destroyed our energy. Yeah, no, there was like a thing on Twitter. I don't know if you guys saw it. That said, what coach like destroyed your mental health? There was a couple of Joe Judges. I saw like
what was the worst coach? What was the worst coach of your NFL team in your lifetime? Like, I've seen obviously Gase, which I believe is the worst. I've seen people post Shermer. I've seen people post Judge. I've seen people post McAdoo. But if you don't mind, I'm just going to add a little note on the Yankees before you get the Giants segment. I don't mean to interject, obviously, because Giants.
No, it's
more
fine.
important
I could
opinion.
ask my question after this, and then we could go full Giants.
No. It's just like the reason, like I'm so down on the Yankees, and I said this multiple times on Wednesday night. When we were doing the game season, I said, I was like, I want to rant, but I don't want to because I don't want to waste people's time. And people are like, no, you're absolutely right. But it's like this, and John's going to remember this. I'm not going to rant because we got the Giants segment up next regardless. But the thing is, this team has beaten me. Like, obviously, I've seen worse teams, obviously, from like the Jets, the Knicks, the Yankees, whatever. The Knicks and Jets have not won a championship in my lifetime. I understand that, but blah, 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 whatever. I don't think I've ever been as deflated and beaten down as a fan as I have been at the Yankees this year. That goes back to 2020 Jets. At least something fucking changed. But I have no hope this anything will change. And I'm serious, like, I just didn't care for the games in 2020 with the Jets. Like, I remember getting blown out 40-3 in Seattle and Sergio Castillo missing like kicks. I remember the Dolphins blowing us out at home. I remember Joe Flacco losing 25 yards on a sack in Miami in 2020. I remember getting blown out by the Cards, the Niners, all these different teams. And obviously Gase was the worst coach I've ever seen in the NFL. But I don't think the Jets as like an organization, I mean, they might have insulted our intelligence by keeping Gase, okay? That's a separate entity. But the Yankees have just demeaned their fans and, degraded their fans to another level, which is like, I'm not going to say it's irreversible, but we know the shit's not going to change, and that's why I don't rant anymore. It's like I have pride for this team. I love this team. The first team I actually got into when I was very young, baseball, all that. But it's like, what's the point? I'm so beaten down as a fan. Fans can bring their signs and do all their things, but I don't think anything's going to change. And that's the cynical Yankee fan in me. If anybody wants to respond in the chat, please do. Alex, please do your Giants.
27. Well, I mean, yeah, no, I got a point to add on to that. And we also got a couple of comments in the chat. 27 rings, first world problems. Yeah, I mean, the standard has dropped.
Everything's okay in Yankee land now.
No, everything's fine. The Yankees and the Feebles are more depressing than getting cancer. Well, Brad, you could joke about that, of course, because you.
Brad, I'm glad you can make a joke about that.
Yeah.
I'm numb to Yankees at this point because of Cashman. Yeah, same here. Callaway. Mickey Callaway.
God. I mean, we forgot how to do a batting lineup. Smiling after giving up homers, like just.
I don't want to rant, then proceeds to rant.
Frank the Tank. I remember Frank the Tank had a clip when I think Mats gave up home run. Mats is pissed, and Mickey Callaway is laughing. Like, the first thing I think of when Mickey Callaway comes to my mind is that Reds-Mets game where they batted out of order.
Oh, my God. That was, like, I remember being in high school at that point, and I'm like, I didn't really care what the teacher was saying because I knew it anyway. And so I was literally, like, finding a stream for the game. And I'm like trying to figure out because I had like the volume off at first. I'm like, what the hell happened? And then I had to look it up that they actually batted out of the lineup.
Thank you, Armand. He sent me a tweet by our Pete's good friend Hector Gomez, who's obviously a reputable source. The Attorney General of the DR says there is a complaint that has been filed by a minor against Wander Franco. And may I also add before, I know we've been delaying Alex's Giants segment. It's very important.
That's fine.
Aaron Boone seemed like he kind of took a shot at Brian Cashman when asked about the Braves lineup. He said this: they have a lineup that's really, really rugged and balanced. A little peek into what you're trying to get to.
It's not going to go a fucking long way. I mean, I don't know. Like, I want to ask you all this just before we get into the Giants segment. I know we've been delaying. But then again, too, I would also like to end this show on a good note, and that's the Giants, like, even though they lost, is like, I saw Talking Jake and Trevor Plouffe, and I know we were mad on them last week, but they asked the question, do you think that the Yankees are wasting the primes of Aaron Judge and Garrett Cole? And then somebody responded on Twitter, said, no, that's a stupid question because all-star for both, and this is just the cycle of a franchise. And this is a Twitter account that covers the Yankees and the Mets. I'm like, dude, what are you talking? What do you mean the cycle of a franchise? Like, what is this?
I think Luke is going to become a snapping turtle.
Please play that Gordon Ramsay thing again.
Sure, hold on. I got 2 Gordon Ramsay.
Fuck off.
And then
What the fuck?
I mean, seriously, are people that stupid? Honestly. John, I'm just saying right now, I had no idea it was normal to waste primes of.
Hey, compare this to the Angels. I'm like, dude.
We're the fucking Mariners from the mid-2000s. They wasted Ichiro's prime. They wasted Ken Griffey's prime. They wasted Edgar Martinez's prime. They wasted King Felix's prime. We're going to waste everybody's prime.
Can they waste my prime? It's just a joke, man. It really is. It is the circus music. It literally is. But John, like, for your 2 cents before we get into the Giants and stop talking about garbage, would you agree with Luca that that's a totally ignorant statement to say that?
Oh yeah, no, ignorant. I've seen, coming from the Mets fan, I've seen plenty of players waste their careers here. I mean, you go back to pretty much Jose Reyes, David Wright, Beltran. Well, Beltran wasn't always
Mike
with
Piazza.
Piazza had a lot of wasteful years here. DeGrom wasted most of his time here. I could make the argument that Pete Alonso was going on that route. So, yeah, there's plenty of guys.
Vlad Guerrero, to Giant Goofball's point, Vlad Guerrero Jr., Andre Dawson. I think at the end of the 80s, they ended up, being cheap asses, but that's it.
We've evolved in some ways since then, I must say.
Yeah, we have.
I didn't know there was a soundboard at the time, but now we know. Cole opt out.
Cole deserves better than the shitty organization. I don't think he will opt out for the sake, because I think he's a good person.
Yeah, he's a nice guy, as everyone would say about Aaron Boone. But also, I saw this from Christian, and I'm like, you're right, but it's not going to happen. He goes, Hal Steinbrenner needs a John Mara moment. I'm like, well, the difference between John Mara is that he was a fan, and his grandfather endured the team and bought the team long time ago. And then Hal Steinbrenner just treats it like a business. Like, he probably either felt it in his pocket or he felt it some other way. And just the patheticness. But Hal's not going to feel that because he's going to have some tourists come into the stadium and Luca, what did they do today?
What do you mean? What they do? Who?
What did
the Yankees? The Yankees lost, but also
no. But what else did they do? Come on, Luca, you got to think about this.
No, wait. First off, it's the Yankees lose, okay?
Yeah. First of all, I also want to say, like, in honor of the Johnny Manziel doc I watched this weekend, the little money chant he used to do while he was at Texas A&M.
But what did they do today? I'm gonna ask you one more time before we go to what it actually was.
Let's see. What did they do? I know that obviously they lost. Maybe they justified losing.
No, they announced that Jeter's coming Old Timers Day, and that's gonna
fucking money grab. That's what it is. And a brief note on that. Listen, I get it. It's the 25th anniversary of the 98 team, the greatest Yankee team probably in recent memory. That is 100% a money grab to beg Jeter to come back. 100%.
You know what the thing is, though? I made a funny statement on Twitter before we get to the Giants finally, because I know I've been pushing this. Because they don't do the games anymore because of COVID or whatever bullshit reason they come up with. I'm like, that's funny because the 98 Yankees could probably beat this team right now. That's why they don't want to do the game. So, but let's move into some brighter topics. Yes, I mean, obviously the Giants losing is not a bright topic, but listen, it's preseason, whatever, we're here. And I guess, funny guys, I got a weird tweet on Twitter, and it was basically, I was tweeting. I think this was yesterday. I'm like, you know what? I'd rather watch Giants preseason games and know they lost than watch the Yankees because I
you
know
have
what
more
they're
to
about.
recap.
And then someone like commented, if you're watching preseason games, you need to find a hobby. I'm like, okay, well, my hobby is the gym and content creating, and it's not even about preseason games. It's just about making a blanket statement that the New York Giants are more watchable than the New York Yankees. And then he's like, well, keep hitting the gym and all that stuff, but you got to judge this team in the regular season. I'm like, even if the Giants like disappoint me this year, like a 7-10 or an 8-9 record, I'm still going to sit there and say this was a better season than what Yankee seasons I've seen.
The Giants the third string team for the Giants is more entertaining than the Yankees first team.
Like when literally Lucas says, and I'm not kidding, that he'd rather watch the Giants-Lions game than the Yankees.
I did say that.
It really says a lot. It says a lot. And I mean, like, it's not the way we want to feel, but
it's not what you want.
You know what? It's
not what you want.
It's not what you want. But I will, of course, take observations from the panel because I know Luca watched most of the game with me. John got to see a little bit as well. And, of course, the chat is going to be a big component.
I did watch highlights over the weekend. I do admit that.
So I'll start with the recap of the game and then maybe go into a tad bit of a preview for the Friday game against the Panthers. And also as well, tomorrow we're going to have the 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time premiere of the Big Blue in the Bronx podcast. Unfortunately, shout outs to Dean Jones, who was on with me last year for the Panthers preview, couldn't come on due to a family incident, and I wished him my prayers and stuff like that. But I could not find another Panthers content creator because they were all busy. So it's just going to be me tomorrow in the premiere and all that stuff. Yeah, Boone is an Eagles fan. The Yankees could block better than the third string O-line for the Giants. I mean, I have pretty low hopes for the Giants third stringers. And we got Crackle Nuts in the building. Oh my gosh, John. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed your vacation from me.
The
reign of terror is back.
Hold up. I have been the one on here all the time. You, my friend, have disappeared. You have disappeared. I don't know where you went into hiding. We need to put the APB MIA out for you, all right? But I hope all is well, my man.
Amber Alert.
The Amber Alerts.
Good to
Gotta
see
get
you
the milk carton ready for him.
Good to see you in the chat, Crackle. He goes, the Yankees could not run a lemon stand.
Not a lemonade. A lemon stand.
They couldn't get the lemonade right. They couldn't get the lemonade right. So they have to run a lemon stand. They can't even do that correctly. But, all right. So, as we all know, the New York Giants took the L last Friday night against the Detroit Lions, and they had joint practices leading up to that. So I'll start with offensive takeaways before we get to the big, juicy offensive takeaway, which not necessarily was good. Tommy DeVito and Tyrod Taylor both played. DeVito actually looked very good for someone who's an undrafted free agent, didn't play in a lot of good programs. I'm going to get the stats up for you guys right now. But again, I thought he played well, missed some throws. The elephant in the room was a big factor as to why the offense could not move the ball. And I'm not talking about Tommy DeVito, but 15-24, 155, an interception and a touchdown, 5 sacks taken. I think he possibly could be that type of guy the Giants keep as the third QB on the practice squad. God forbid that the Giants have to even get to a third QB. But a few years ago, and many have made this comparison, Clayton Torson was a undraftee. He actually played against the Jets, and he stunk. Like, he stunk in 2021. He's now in the XFL, USFL, whatever, and the Giants had to bring in another undrafted free agent quarterback. Couldn't get it done there. Even though they were only keeping 2 quarterbacks, they needed some level of competition. But Tommy DeVito went out there. He had a couple of nice plays. He had the touchdown at Tommy Sweeney. So clap, clap, clap for Mr. Tommy DeVito. Did you see what James Harden said? Yes. We might touch on that just a little bit after this. I really think Hyatt's going to be a beast. Yeah, no, I think so too. Need the bell for the cat fight. yeah, that when the next cat fight happens and we hear it, it's just going to be there. That's funny. Love this podcast. Yeah, listen, we've gotten a lot of positivity tonight, so we appreciate you guys.
Thank
this
you,
has really
guys.
been an awesome show. We have silver. What's a silver alert? Do you get the Florida man too?
Oh, is that like an Amber Alert down there?
Yeah.
Or
A silver alert is a public notification system in the United States about missing persons, especially senior citizens.
Okay.
Hold on. It's about missing people, especially senior citizens with Alzheimer's, mental disabilities, or dementia.
Oh.
I mean, to be fair, Florida is kind of Evan's waiting room.
So when Buck Showalter goes missing, he'll get a silver alert.
I would have put out a silver alert for him. I'd let him get lost.
Tommy was born out. Yeah, Angry John, how do you feel about the Mets?
We might touch on that in the very end of the show.
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan. I wasn't a big fan of it. But you know, I kind of stayed reserved after that. I'm like, okay, look, I got to see what this kid does. And listen, I was at training camp, and I saw that he was exploding in front of my eyes. I'm like, yeah. Also, I'm giving you props with NYY News TV. 19K subs couldn't do without you guys. Yeah, listen, look, Pete's putting on a monster over there, and we're glad to be a part of it. Listen, obviously, we don't do the twin. What were you pointing at?
I was pointing at you guys. I was giving you the credit.
All right. Oh, okay, all right. But you know, obviously, we don't do Twin Bill anymore, but we do game season. It's always great when you guys come in the chat. Old people, yes. But yeah, I mean, Tommy DeVito slung it very well. Moving to the running back room, I thought Eric Gray looked a little slow. That was one of my concerns coming out of college with Eric Gray and what the Giants really want to value him as. Because I looked at the Senior Bowl. We did a Senior Bowl live stream. We didn't particularly like number 20 out of Oklahoma, and then we drafted him. We're like, well, we'll see what this kid does. But hopefully that changes. Hopefully, because in the return game, he wasn't very good. I'm not calling him a bust. I'm just saying first observation type things. And Tony, who was in here earlier, if you guys hadn't noticed, Tony P. Boy or something like that, he's, again, mentioned it. He's a cousin of Jashawn Corbin. And Jashawn Corbin was the best looking back. James Robinson, as you guys got to witness last year, he was slow, could not hit a hole. He had 6 carries for guess how many yards?
This is for Gray?
No, this is for James Robinson.
I don't remember the stat line. I'm just taking a guess. 3 yards.
No. Luca?
-2?
Not that bad. 6 carries, 9 yards. So that's not going to get it done. Gray, Breida, Robinson combined 19 carries, 41 yards. That's 2-point-something yards per carry, which isn't going to get it done. One guy hated Derek on NYY Recaps. I love Derek. He said he a hater on the Yankees because he says they suck. Yeah. Protect dimes long enough to hit high deep. Yeah, no, absolutely. And there's also some quick game stuff you could do. And also the Cole Beasley stuff, which we'll get to, of course. Mad Max says Mets fans are the worst people on green earth. So I agree with him, John. You know, he actually pitched really well tonight. He shoved against, I don't know if he said the Mets fans are the worst people, but
no, I know. That was
shoved tonight against the Rangers. But to keep going, again, Deshaun Cole.
He shoved against the Rangers? I didn't know he was pitching against his own team.
Come on.
Okay. That's a Brian moment. We got it right here. Okay, that's a Brian moment. Not going to have one of those for the rest of the show. Anyway, back to reality, as Eminem once said. Deshaun Corbin was the best back in the room, 3 carries, 40 yards. If we're going to this receiver room, I thought the slot receivers really picked up their worth. Jamison Crowder and Sterling. Cole Beasley and Sterling, not Sterling Shepard. Strike 2.
Jamison Crowder. Jamison
Crowder. That's strike 2. 2 minutes, 2 strikes. I'm like the Yankees in the batter's box. Anyway, that deserves a rim shot. Maybe we implement one of those as a soundbite. But anyway, back to reality again. Cole Beasley and Jamison Crowder will probably be the 2 best receivers outside of David Sills. Cole Beasley has a real shot to make this roster, and I would like to see what he does against the Panthers this week. But, you know, if Colin Johnson is not okay, they say he has a knee injury. He's not out long term, but that affects his spot. Beasley's a guy who catches a lot of passes, not really an outside receiver, but he's good on third down. And that's when the Giants really failed last year, but they also succeeded prior to years past. Also, if you guys know, the undrafted free agent, Bryce Ford Wheaton, I have totally lost faith in him. A lot of his college issues came back, and his fit for the offense is not a fit for the offense in general. His skill set does not fit. He dropped a pass that went into his chest. Usually, as a 6'4" receiver, you're supposed to catch that. Fell out on a throw from Tommy DeVito, and was also one of the guys that missed the tackle on a big punt return touchdown, which we will get into. Let's see what else we got. JMS was the best O-lineman out there, in my opinion. If anything was to be remarked, I think I could probably pull it up right now for you guys here. Let's see. Hold on right here. I think I got it somewhere. I have a lot of bookmarks here. I'm going to go over every snap.
Two giant goofballs also said that Brightwell did not play well at all.
Brightwell did not play, period. He was injured, of course.
What happened to him? What was the injury? Was it
Brian Dable did not share, but okay. I'm not gonna play the full 2 minutes of this. Luca, if you want to pull it up.
Yes.
On the screen. This is JMS every single snap. He's number 61. And I also want to give a shout out to Nick Filato, who is the guy that kind of put this together. So JMS, and mostly his stuff came good in pass pro, but you could see just moving guys. And yeah, it's the second team for the Detroit Lions. They didn't play their ones, but this is still progress. So I'll play like a minute of this and then we can move on because there's other stuff we need to get to.
Never really is a strength problem, I'm noticing. Never really had a strength problem. Like, everything is fluid.
Yeah, I mean, fluid, feet, hand placement. I would love to see him go up against, like, Quinnen Williams in week 3. Even Derek Brown this week, playing with the ones. And, well, I mean, that play just not great, but his other blocker on the right side handles it. But right now, he's getting solely 1 reps. He's not being rotated out. They're confident that this kid's going to start week 1 against Dallas. So I'll stop that for right now. Just we have some other stuff.
Let me ask you this. What is the update on the center position when it comes to the battle?
I believe it's JMS's job to lose at this point. I think he's good. I think he's a guy. Why do I got to fight everyone? Well, I guess, what, someone talking about another fight in the chat?
It was Brad.
Angry John, what do you think of the new Rangers coach?
We can get into that in a little bit. I'll say it's a lateral move. I think they'll be better 5-on-5, but we can get that in a later episode or a later topic.
Why would we ever have faith in an undrafted free agent? Yeah, no, there's just a lot of people were going out there and saying that this kid is going to be, rock solid or whatever. Shep is a good wide receiver. I think he could be your 3rd, 4th. Yeah, no, listen, I mean, they didn't play him, but who will have more touchdowns, Zeke or Dalvin? Dalvin. And by the way, shots to Disgruntled Taco in the chat. Brightwell didn't play at all. I think it shows
I thought he said my mistake. 2 giant goofballs. I thought he said he didn't play well at all.
Yeah, he said, yeah, that's why I said he didn't play. High on JMS too. Laterals are good in football, not so much.
No, I know. Yeah, disgruntled. I know.
Mediocre coaches. Very good point. Very good point, nonetheless. But like the big talking point is the depth on the offensive line, and anyone who even saw like 2 snippets of the game, left tackle Corey Cunningham and right tackle Wyatt Davis were pure garbage. Corey Cunningham gave up 3 sacks. Wyatt Davis gave up 1. That's, I think, one of the reasons the offense could not move the football. If it was not, it was the sole reason. The Giants have another issue where depth is not necessarily a strong suit. It is a weak point. It is very scarce, as Luca just touched on. And yeah, it's an NFL issue, but I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, the Jets have this issue as well, or the Panthers. Who gives a shit about the other teams? We're talking about the Giants right now. But I think this is going to have to be addressed near immediately because you want some of these guys to come out and at least be solid. Like Devery Hamilton last year, who's currently injured, he came out, played really well in the preseason, and actually made it onto the roster. Now, guaranteed he played only 1 or 2 games and real snaps for the Giants, but you saw him come out as an iron horse. Corey Cunningham and Wyatt Davis are not making the roster. Matt Parrott, who's looked decent, he hasn't looked great, is probably going to make the roster on default because he's the swing tackle and he looks better. Tyree Phillips is injured. So that puts the Giants in a bind. I think they need to go out there right now and start getting new tackle blood from other teams, whether they cut them or whatever the case may be, because you don't want to wait till the waiver wire to see if these guys are good. God forbid a guy on the starting offensive line goes down and you're stuck with shit in the first few weeks. That's just my personal opinion. Let's see what else we got. Bredesen also gave up a sack. Azudu still has technique issues. The Bredesen thing, I mean, it was one sack, so I'm not going to totally freak out about it. But also, I do think that Josh Azudu has stuff to work on. It's good that he's improved in a couple of different areas, but the hand placement is just not great. And that shows they may not start him week 1 or they'll rotate him, but I really don't like the rotation aspect. Matt Perrin is the current swing tackle. He had trouble blocking a corner on one play. If that's true, I mean, I'd be scared.
Yeah.
I'm sure Shane is on it. Yeah, they're probably doing some scouting. Have a good night, brothers. Thanks for the content y'all have pumped out. Yeah, no problem, man.
Agreed.
Those guys are not NFL caliber at all.
So, Alex, would you say that in terms of like the offense, especially because you mentioned the tackle depth. I mean, the offensive line depth is like not the strongest. Is that the weakest spot on your offense right now? Not just depth, but I mean in terms of overall.
I would say yes. Inside linebacker is another weak spot, and that's going to be more of a defensive talking point. Corner could be, but offensive line like depth is not good.
Okay.
It's not good right now, and of course they will need to go to the waiver wire or bring in bodies wherever they may. I'm going to quickly slide to the defense. The one position that the Giants probably have the best depth on is safety. First play of the game. Thank you, Mr. Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys, Jets. Thank you. Just want to say thank you. Even though you guys are probably strong suited now, Jason Pinnock has stood out really well in camp. Had a one-handed interception, and in the first play of the game, interception off of Nate Sudfeld. And then Dane Belton also had an interception from center field safety. Other than the interception, Pinnock also had a pass breakup on a pass intended for not Matt Laporta, the former friggin' Cleveland Guardian.
Sam Laporta.
So Sam Laporta. So that would technically be strikery.
Three strikes, you're out at the old ball game. Sam
Laporta was the intended target. It was just a good broken up pass. And that was 4th and 1 too. And then also he had a tackle for loss on the first play after the interception. So it was the ensuing drive for the Detroit Lions. And I also think that Bobby McCain and Alex Cook played really well. McCain, there was one pass that was deep and maybe he could have gotten over there a little sooner, but both played really well in the box. And Cook is a guy that could probably make the practice squad. Bobby McCain, I think, is a serious threat to take Nick McLeod's job at safety, being that McCain can play corner, he could play safety, he could play in the box, he could play a couple of different positions. And Nick McLeod has been training at safety. He could play corner, but just not as many different things as McCain can do. And the corner spot is really tightening up now. You could probably keep McLeod as a depth corner if none of these guys pan out, but we'll see about that. In terms of the edge room, O'Shane Ximines was constantly getting washed in the running game, which isn't good. This is not a surprise either. He's been terrible with run defense, and he wasn't even getting pressure. But two guys that stood out to me, really you can maybe put an argument for three. Tamon Fox, who laid the hit on Nate Sudfeld to force the interception for Jason Pinnock. He played well, set the edge in the running game a few times. Haba Baldonado, who we actually did a draft profile on back in March. So if you want to go watch that, maybe I'll put in a link or something. But if you also go to his roster bubble video, I put in the link in the description as to where we broke him down and all these different things. But Haba Baldonado has been my favorite undrafted free agent thus far. And he had arguably 2 sacks against the Lions, but they decided to take one away for no apparent reason. That would be roughing the passer. And he made a couple of nice plays in the running game. And then to Sean Bauer, he made a few nice plays in the running game with a pass deflection as well. As far as corner depth goes, Rodarius Williams, Amani Oruwariye, Jamon Green, Zion Gilbert, and Darren Evans, it's not really working out for them. Not a ton of great plays.
He got beat on the outside a few times, Oruwariye.
Yeah, and he really hasn't been great in camp, in my opinion. I know others have different opinions and whatnot, but we'll see what happens. And if Aaron Robinson comes back or Nick McLeod comes back, that's better for corner depth because you don't have to keep any of these guys by default, or you don't have to go on the waiver wire, better yet. Before we get to the inside linebacker position, I thought the rookies shined. Deonte Banks looked really good. There was a pass down the sideline where the guy literally shoved his hand in Banks' face, and that was not called for OPI.
Call.
Yeah, that was not called OPI. There was a play downfield to where Jamison Williams could have beat him, but he stayed intact with him, and a couple other nice plays by Deonte Banks as well. And there was one route where it was a reception. Someone else gave it up, but he ran the curl for one of the receivers, which I thought was pretty impressive compared to the stuff we were seeing early in camp where Deonte Banks was getting beat. Now, I would like to see him in all preseason games against starting level talent, but, we'll see what happens. And then Trey Hawkins, he did give up a few receptions and missed one or two tackles, but he did what he had to do, gave up the receptions, but kept it behind the first down marker, made those tackles, push guys out of bounds. That's what's going to happen, especially when you're in off coverage. And then inside linebacker depth, before I go to special teams and then the overreactions, in terms of inside linebacker depth, Carter Coughlin, who's been on this team for a few years, mostly a special teamer, missed a few tackles versus the run. Not that I'm super evaluating him, but he's not a guy you want to start a game at inside linebacker.
Cam Brown wasn't good.
Cam Brown was not good either. For Coughlin, he misses a few tackles, and then he goes flying like a fucking saucer across the field. It's like he spins. So, what was I going to say? In addition to that, Luca is right. Cam Brown did not play well. Not really an impact on the edge or setting the edge. Bit a lot on play action, which is not something you want to see, but they'll probably make the team as special teamers. And Deontay Johnson and Troy Brown, who I've done profiles on, not much of an impact. And I'm really looking to see that these next 2 weeks, especially this week, because Cam Brown is currently injured for the New York Giants. And that's pretty much that as far as the defense goes. I do want to go ahead and see the see the comments here. 3, Alexa being Brian, IQ now under 1. McLeod will win. There can be only 1. He only played in 5 plays, and 3 were huge impact plays. Yep, that's Jason Pinnock. Needed depth on the O-line, edge, linebacker, corner, clean up on specials 2. Feeble is a genius with an IQ of less than 3.
I don't know whether that's it. He calls me a genius.
That's like a backhanded
listen, listen, I'm a genius, I guess. I'll go with that. All right.
Okay,
thank you,
sure.
Brad. Loved he celebrated the sack by the Justin Tuck bow. Yeah, I recognize the celebration. I'm like, where is he that from? Hit the like button and subscribe for the boys to get them up. Yeah, listen, we appreciate you guys tuning in strong here, almost 3 hours. Yeah, that was cool. What do you think of DeVito? I know he didn't give you a high five, but what are your thoughts? Going back to when we all high fived the Giants players and whatnot. No, I thought he looked solid. I think he solidified a practice squad spot for himself. You guys catch any of San Francisco at LA at the Raiders? Yes, I did.
Some of Sam Darnold. I don't know.
Saw some of Sam. Yeah, I saw Trey Lance get sacked within the first 3 plays of the game. So, Aiden O'Connell looked really good, though. I will say that for our guy Disgruntled in the chat. Yeah, Trey Lance is bad. Do you think we'll see any starters in the second preseason game? Well, I mean, I can't speak for the rest of the league, but I would say that the Giants will probably throw out a few starters. Cam Brown has never been good, only for special teams play. Yeah, that's absolutely correct. And before we get to special teams, any thoughts on offense or defense, Luca?
I mean, I mentioned Cam Brown. I don't think there's really anything else. Did anybody stick out from the tight end room?
Tommy Sweeney, but that was it. I mean, he had 1 reception, so it would have to go down to individual blocking.
I got nothing else.
John?
No, I think you hit all the points that, needs to be said.
Sam looked good. Yeah, the rookie lane looked good, handled the pressure well. Yeah, I think you had one of the best debuts out of all the starters, out of the QBs that really got drafted. So now we get to talk about special teams. Yes, special teams. No action in the return game whatsoever. The Giants averaged, I think, 20 yards per return, which is not good. That was with Jaden Mickens and Eric Gray back there. 2 supposed to be returners, but special teams does not change. Also, if you guys didn't see, after that big punt return touchdown, I'll count the names and the bodies that missed tackles. Brian Dable gave a huge glare to Thomas McGahee, the special teams coach. The longest return, which was probably about 35 yards, got called back by a holding penalty. Crucial mistake by David Sills on one of the last drives of the game, where he tackled the guy probably around the 13-yard line, but he decided to grab the face mask, which was not good. 95-yard punt return touchdown. It was a great punt by Jamie Gillen, and I don't really give him props,
Right.
but it was inside the 20, near the 15. The Giants did not make tackles. David Sills, Jamon Green, let's see, Cordell Flott, actually, is it Tommy Sweeney? Might not be, whoever. Troy Brown, Tamon Fox, Bryce Ford Wheaton, Deontay Johnson, and Amani Oruwariye. Those are the guys that missed key tackles. Also, the long snapper, Cam Lyons, I forgot to mention him. Those are the guys that missed key tackles, all of the special teams unit, and that's where Maurice Alexander went back for a touchdown. And initially, there were only 10 men on the field, which normally would be 11, but that substitution issue has not been it's not something that we haven't seen very much. We've seen it a lot, actually. So just for slight overreaction time, and then I'll go over the injury report and stuff like that. I'll leave the preview for tomorrow at 12:30. Eric Gray is slow, question mark. I say give it a few games behind at least more of a solid offensive line, and we'll see what he looks this season. BFW is overhyped. Yeah, Bryce Ford Wheaton, I thought was definitely overhyped. Didn't make any impact plays. Exciting player, not a fit for this offense. Waiver wire time for the offensive line and inside linebacker room. I think they need to get guys in there as soon as possible. I would personally take a look at Mykal Walker, who recently just got released from the Atlanta Falcons. Josh Azudu and McKeithen should see playing time at offensive tackle this summer. I think that's one of your best bet. I think that's honestly one of your best bets because you look at this guard room, you look at this tackle room, there's nothing there. And now you could say, okay, Sean Harlow, he's got experience. He could play a solid center, or maybe Jack Anderson you keep, whatever. But if McKeithen can play swing tackle for you over a guy like Tyree Phillips or over a guy like Matt Parrott, you bring him in and you play him there. Josh Azudu, I know he's a guard and he's, learning all sorts of new things and the technique isn't there, but I would start playing him at tackle because if he could play a swing tackle for this team, you might want to take advantage of the opportunity. Some more stuff. Special team sucks again. I think it's going to suck another year. In my personal opinion, yeah.
Why didn't you fire this special teams coach? He stunk how long for you guys?
How long has he been tenured now?
He's been with the Giants since 2018. But
he used to, John, you know what? He used to be with the Jets, actually. I got to check how long he was with the Jets.
Really?
Yeah, Thomas McGahee. But here's the whole thing. Here's why he's still a Giant special teams coach. He's well respected. That's the excuse.
I mean,
2014 was.
I mean, going back to that, because I think that the punt return was probably the worst play that you guys had all night.
Right.
I mean, that stare that Brian Dable gave over, he was not he's not a guy that, and I respect him for this. He's not a guy that will hide his emotion or how he's going to tell you how it is. And he just was not happy on all of that play. I mean, that was like an ugly, one of those ugly punt returns that should not have been a touchdown at all. That was ugly.
I just want to point this out because it's not in John's background. Actually, no, it's not. I don't even have it up. I was going to say, did I have a siren thing because there's sirens whirling around in the background?
No.
But there was also another play. I don't know if Luca caught it where there was a kickoff. It looked like it was going to be short. They tried letting it go out of bounds, but they let it drop and nobody called it. So it looked like Detroit was going to recover the football. And then it went out of bounds. So it was a free kick out of bounds because nobody on the return team touched it. But, I mean, that's just another terrible special teams play. With that being said, Danny Boy says, are special teams going to cost us a game or worse too? I hope not. They got to get this fixed. Personally, I'm leaning towards Jets as who will have a better season. I think the Jets maybe by 1 or 2 wins, my opinion. Yeah, it was a live ball. Exactly, Barbara. Alex Cook and Bobby McCain to take Nick McLeod's spot. I think that's possible, being that McLeod has been out, unless they value McLeod more as a corner, with the depth at corner being very bad. Well, it's not very bad, but it's just inching to where you don't want it to be. It's not what you want, as Joe Girardi would say. Especially with Aaron Robinson still on PUP. And then also, Giants better hope all 3 backup D linemen are healthy. I mean, DJ Davidson just got back from PUP, so we'll see if he gets playing time this week. He's coming off an ACL injury. Jordan Riley was solid in the game. Then you have to add that up with the backup defensive lineman and Nacho and Ashawn Robinson. But other than that, the Giants have no depth at the D line. It's all camp bodies. So with that being said, that's pretty much it. 24-hour live stream during football season. I mean, that would be an exciting venture. We would have to put it towards some sort of charity, but I think we could think about that. Definitely, that'll be an interesting venture. We'd have a lot of coffee, a lot of snacks.
God, yeah.
I mean,
Alex, let me ask you: has Jalen Holmes ever played with the Giants? I think he has, right?
Not in the regular season. In the preseason, he played with us last year.
That's what I thought, because we just signed him. Any thoughts or no?
I mean, probably camp body, run defender type guy. Why did you sign him? Was somebody hurt?
We put somebody on IR, I think.
I gotta hold up. Who was on it? Hold up. Jets injured list.
Well, before John freaks out and starts throwing shit at his wall.
What?
Well, I mean, just seeing who got on IR.
Oh, I'm trying to remember. No, I'm just trying to remember who it was.
It was a player.
No.
No kidding.
Obviously, I know it was a player. Who was it? Okay, questionable. Oh,
by the way, guys, we got 3 more likes to 25.
The offensive lineman, I forgot to pronounce his name.
Alex-GajovichProtich?
Yeah, him.
Gotcha.
He's the guy that went on.
Crackle Nuts says, for my birthday, I want Angry John to become a Yankees fan.
Well, you better become disappointed. On your birthday.
It was actually hold on, I gotta pronounce his name because I just sounded like complete slop. Ifedi Odenigbo. That's who went on.
All right. Yeah, total bum.
Oh,
I hope the Jets go 1-16. Oh,
is that because I'm going to disappoint your birthday?
Yeah, you didn't make it, John. You didn't make his birthday wish come true.
You know what? It's not my job.
Is it?
No, it's not my job.
That's a damn shame.
Yeah,
we got 2 likes. Oh, we got 1 more like away from 25. But with that being said, I think we could close out here. If you guys want to throw any last questions in the chat, you can.
John, did you want to go over the Mets for like a brief sec? Just saying, because I know there's controversy around your team with Verlander and Scherzer and Salicata making up lies with Pete Alonso.
Oh, it was such a play it. Come on, it's okay. Oh, yes. No. I got the privilege to go to 2 Mets games last week, and I got to see them lose twice in 1 week. I was so happy. I mean,
it's funny. I don't know if I may have brought it up on a stream before, because I don't know when the last time we streamed before this. When I literally called the Cody Bellinger home run. I said, John, I hope he puts one in the seats.
Yeah, no. Of course that happened. But I'm not even talking about that. We went to the game, obviously.
Oh, it is your birthday. Oh,
all right. Happy birthday, Crackle Nuts. I didn't know it was your actual birthday.
But he's not going to become a Yankees fan. I don't think so.
No, thank you. Anyway, it's just a whole mess. This team is. What a whole mess. They are so awful. Okay, where do I start? I mean, you got Sal the moron Licata sitting up there and saying Pete Alonso's a cancer in the locker room. Okay, meanwhile, he's pretty much the only one of the only hitters or only players that's done something on this team all year long. Okay, there's now in-house fighting and leadership questions, which, of course, what do you know? No leader on this team. Well, what a shock there for the Mets. Yeah, that's awesome. 2 Mets losses, yeah. And, you know, it was ridiculous what Licata said. I mean, how could you listen to that buffoon? That's what he is. He is a big, giant buffoon. Then you have the report of Verlander and Scherzer not having the best relationship. So maybe you should have checked that out in the offseason, Billy Epler. You know, Verlander complaining about the Mets analytics and Scherzer saying it's fine. Well, you know what? Verlander was right because there is something wrong with the analytics with this team, all right? Especially with how poorly of a job our farm system has done in the past few years, okay? Or for a while now, even before Epler. But that's a whole nother thing for a different day. And then you talk about the product on the field. Oh, some of the everyday players on this team, just mind-boggling bad. Mind-boggling. Do you know we're closer to the Nationals? You know how close we are now?
Place.
Yeah, we're very close to last place. I know they won the last 2 games. Congratulations. They won tonight. I'm so happy. Carlos Carrasco lasted another 3 innings. I'm so happy Danny Vogelback put one in the seats. Oh, yes. This is what I've been hoping for all season long. And, you know, I don't even care about the in-house fighting, whatever these morons say, fine. This Mets team in the first 3 games of the Atlanta Braves quit. They outscored 34-3. 34-3.
That's a football
They
score.
lost 21-3 on the game I went to that afternoon. I didn't even stay the full game because it was so bad. I mean, the Braves scored more than the Atlanta Falcons. They scored more than the Atlanta Falcons. That's embarrassing. The Mets lost by 3 touchdowns. That's embarrassing. And then Barber brings up Brett Beatty, and it's just like, my God. I mean, I hope he's playing fine in AAA now. Thank God. You know, maybe he just needs a confidence booster. But the one big gripe I have, and it reminds me of all season long, that for some reason the clubhouse and the Mets players are frustrated. And it really, I was watching the Mets game the next day after. I was watching it on Wednesday. And Adam Ottavino, one of these assholes that is in this category, and I'm trying not to laugh because it's not a happy laugh. It's an angry laugh. It's more so that Adam Ottavino almost blew the game last Wednesday. And Buck took him out. Buck did the right thing. He took him out. He put, I think it was Bickford that came in there and cleaned it up, and they won the game. Adam Ottavino had the nerve to mouth off and show frustration. Hey, guess what? Ottavino, you're the reason we're in this place. You're the asshole and reason why they are even in the position they're in. And when Max Scherzer complained about the trade deadline of, selling David Robertson, and I'm like, well, you're next, buddy, but you're the asshole who made us sell. Did y'all not forget? They went 7-19 in June. Who goes 7-19 in a baseball month? That's unheard of. That is historically putrid. It is mind-boggling that these players have the nerve to be frustrated. Why are we frustrated? Why? Because we forgot how to hit? We forgot how to pitch? We've got to run the bases and field the baseball? Is that why we're frustrated? Because if that's the case, then you can blame the manager and general manager. But I mean, my goodness. And I understand that we got a bunch of AAA players in there now. Don't get me started with them. But if you want to go that route, why is Danny Vogelback and Carlos Carrasco still playing? Do you not see they are awful veterans? They're so awful they couldn't even get a trade for them. What does that tell you? I mean, this empty water bottle not only represents the whole Mets season, nothing, but they couldn't even get a water bottle for either of these two clowns. God. They are just embarrassing on a new level. Embarrassing. And I know they won the last two. Whoop-de-doo. Whoop-de-doo. You know? But they have no right to be frustrated. Have you ever seen players playing bad and then frustrated that the team is selling? Steve Cohen said they were going to sell. He said, well, if we don't play good, we're going to sell. Why is everyone shocked? This was coming. They did it to themselves. It's like the bank robber who robbed the bank and then got upset that he went to jail. You did it to yourself. It makes no sense. None. Go ahead.
You got any thoughts on that?
John, may I also add, if you went over this already, I apologize because I was at the bathroom. What do you think of the Pete rumors? Him being I'm not gonna say a cancer, but
I think Sal Licata is a moron.
Brandon Tierney also came up with the juncture as well. They do a show together, so I think they.
I know they do a show. You know what? You know what their show is? A whole lot of nothing, just like the Mets season. A whole lot of nothing. They talk about they manage to talk about nothing. How is it, Pete? Let me tell you this. Hold up. There is nobody in Mets history with more 35 homer seasons than Pete Alonso. How is he the problem? What is he the problem that the Mets have blown games left and right in the bullpen? That our starters can't go more than 5 innings? That my $340 million shortstop plays like $100 million shortstop? Is Pete Alonso the problem that Danny Vogelback can't do anything correctly? Is he the problem that, Carlos Carrasco is awful? I mean, he faced the Pirates lineup tonight. He threw over 85 pitches in 3 innings. Is that Pete Alonso's fault? Is it Pete Alonso's fault that we started Eduardo Escobar and Thomas Nido in games this year?
DJ Stewart.
I mean, some of these guys.
Danny Mendick.
Some of these guys, I mean, Danny Mednick, DJ Stewart, Jonathan Aruz, or whatever the hell his name is, okay? Rafael Ortega was leading off the
Abraham Almonte.
Hey, Almonte, I mean, Jesus, man. Like, this is the lineup they put out. The other day when I went to see them play, Denny Reyes started. Denny Reyes was allowed to face the Braves.
Jeff Brigham. Jeff Brigham. It's funny because Brigham got ejected in AAA for having substances.
Good. I hope he never touches another baseball again. Good. They're awful.
I think Mark Healy's the guy's name. I'm gonna look him up.
Mm-hmm.
Mark C. Healy. He is the editor-in-chief of the Rockaway Wave. Like I'm not gonna say he's like a beat writer. He's a journalist. He obviously writes for the Associated Press and all, or used to at least. Yeah. He's like, what is this nonsense that Sal Licata and Brandon Tierney are spewing about Pete Alonso?
It makes
it's to get an easy click.
It is. It makes no I could understand.
Even David Cohn said it was false.
I know Cohen. Cohen's going to speak his mind.
David Cohn.
Oh, sorry, David Cohn.
He said on ESPN.
You're correct on that. You're correct. But it just makes zero sense. And it's like, can they lose peacefully? Like, just shut up and lose. I know I'm not supposed to want my team to lose, but they're losers. They are. But just why can't we just shut up and lose peacefully? Is that too much to ask?
Yes. I would guess that's it, John.
I don't have anything else to add. I mean, whoop-de-doo. They won tonight. Congratulations. They're 10 games under 500.
Baseball's team's fault the Mets went down the toilet. I wouldn't say that. I mean, I don't know. He's probably being sarcastic, but
I know about the Edwin. I understand.
But you didn't bring up another thing that I was surprised. We talked about this. I'm surprised you didn't bring up, why aren't people questioning Francisco Lindor's leadership more?
I said they have no leader. And it's the press game and the post game comments when he says, We need to move on. No. Stop moving on. Look at yourself in the mirror. Look at yourself. Like, you're a horrible baseball team.
Wasn't Mac ranting yesterday about Francisco Lindor, Alex?
He was. Because he said his stats are all right, but then again, he's getting paid $340 million.
Right. He shouldn't be in like the conversation of a top 10 shortstop. He should be the best. I know that's very high expectations, but he should be up there. He should be up there. Now, I still think he is a top 10, 5 shortstop. Maybe I'll put him in the rankings. We'll see. If you're a member, you'll find out. But, like, he should be number 1 or 2 the way he gets paid. And I'm not wrong to say that. I don't care if his feelings get hurt. He makes more than $340 million. Do you know what I'd be doing if I had $340 million? Seriously. No, and you know what, Barbara? No, you don't understand. You don't. The Yankees have their own problems, and I know they're hot garbage. I get it. The Mets are 10 times worse. They've had a more expensive payroll and are worse than the plush Yankees.
Thank fuck people's finished. Scrub that.
It's like comparing dog shit to cat shit. It's like it's shit.
Which one gets cleaned up first?
Oh God. I wouldn't want to imagine that. I really wouldn't.
I mean,
anything else on the Luca?
No, I was gonna say it's a comparison that's like they're both shit.
They are. That's what they are.
I mean, the one benefit the Mets have is a fucking owner who has a pulse of the fan base and a pulse of what he's watching on the field instead of thinking all about the money. But you just hope he has the presence of mind to fire. Why did I say Alderson? Billy Epler.
I don't know what to. I was happy to hear the report that at least we have been scouting the guy from Japan, Yamamoto. I mean, that's later off-season talk, although I'm already feeling baseball off-season because it's definitely nothing to watch this season. So
I could give 2 craps about the off-season because even then I won't care. Be like, he's not.
I know. I'm just saying I'd rather pay attention to off-season stuff than now, like product on the field now. That's
right
where I'm at.
Right. So, any final thoughts, Luca?
Just in general, the entire show?
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody, for coming out tonight. It was a very lively show. Thank you guys for the comments, the super chats, whatever. We appreciate you all. You don't have to super chat, but if you want to. We'll gladly accept. Just thank you guys. You guys are the best. We're almost there to 1,500. Let's keep it going. Alex has got some great Giants content out for you guys, so keep it there. Just thank you. Great show overall, and I thought we did some great analysis for both football teams.
Yeah, a lot going on in the show, Bill. Shane says just load up on the beer and pop brownies. Angry John, your final thoughts.
I'm happy that we're back into football. I was happy the Jets got cooked today. That was literally maybe within the hour of the show, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe like a little bit before that. I've been watching more preseason football, not just the Jets. I paid attention to the Giants. I watched their highlights. I watched a lot of highlights from around the league. So I'm just glad it's like I'm starting to get back in the spirit. We're in like the midway of August now, so September's right around the corner. So again, we are going to do a lot more football, and sadly we have some baseball to cover this week. We have 2 live streams. Go check it out Wednesday, Thursday. We might rant. We might laugh at our teams, but make sure to check that out. And also, if you guys are a member or want to become a member, just remember I'm doing positional rankings. So like Bill tonight became a member, so now he's going to go get to see that video. And you guys can agree, disagree with me as a nice motorcycle passes by on my outro. So thank you guys again. And Alex, take it away.
So I just want to give a rundown. By the way, we're 1 like away from 25. So if you have a burner account or an email account you don't use anymore, hit the like button or share it out to your cat or dog so they can jump on the computer and hit the like button. Anyway, we're a few subscribers away from the 1.5K mark. Tomorrow we'll have a Big Blue in the Bronx podcast episode detailing some positional battles and also the preview for the Panthers game that's going to be on Friday. Wednesday, as John mentioned, we're doing the Braves Yankees. How fun that's going to be. That's going to be terrible. And then the next day we have the Cardinals Mets. That's going to be fun. Thursday, that's Thursday. So Friday, nothing, and then we'll keep you posted with the content, and then likely a recap episode on Saturday for the Panthers and Giants. Another Brian moment there. But also, just for anyone who's been supporting and just looking at the series, the roster bubble series will likely finish up either on Thursday or Friday as the final few episodes turn out and stuff like that. But again, I appreciate everyone who's come out and been a fan of it. And we just hit 25 likes. So I appreciate everybody. Like, comment, subscribe, do all the good stuff. Turn on post notifications so you know when a live stream pops through your drops. Appreciate you coming back. Peace out, guys. See you later. Stay cool. Have a good night.